I think I know what this is. You see, Stan, as you get older, things that you used to like start looking and sounding like shit. And things that seemed shitty as a child don't seem as shitty. With you, somehow the wires have gotten crossed and everything looks and sounds like shit to you. It's a condition called being a cynical asshole.
Oh no.
Yes. And there's no known cure, I'm afraid. Everything just seems shitty and everyone starts to seem shitty and everything they say just starts...
I hope I can help. Necromancy may be legal in Cyrodiil, but few will openly admit to practicing it now that the Mages Guild has banned it. Farewell.
All we are is dust in the wind, dude. Dust. Wind. Dude.
Desperate. Your turn.
Desperate.
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 Mockery.
Oh, Master! I do not trust you! I cannot trust you or anyone ever again!
You hate to do it, but at the same time, it's hilarious. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 45 of Saturday Night Sith. We are live, we are active, we are here instead of playing games. Like what I've been doing to fill in since Jay Hitman wasn't here last week. Anyways, how are you tonight, sir? Jay Hitman, my co-host, my cohort and all this.
Oh, so excited to be here, man. Yeah, it's been busy. I've been busy. 'Tis the season. Hopefully get back for Sunday Night Shenanigans soon-ish.
You
better. So excited for tonight. So excited for tonight. What a show. What a show we have in store. I'm so excited.
And so now we'll just get right into it, of course. I'll be introducing one of our very special guests tonight. Welcome him to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Tuscan Bob. How are you tonight, sir?
Good evening. Good evening. Do you guys want the jingle?
Yes, we need the holy order. All right. You gotta go full, right? You can't just half-ass anything. And
the Jab Father lives on.
I love that. The holy order of the Jab. Although now you're also Tuscan Bob Threat to Democracy, so I can.
Yeah, I'm proud of that one, and it should be like Tuscan Bob Threat to Democracy / cynical asshole based on intro. South Park clip.
I've been called that by coworkers, so I'm just like, you know what? I'll just.
You're really not though. Only like part time.
You haven't heard some of the conversations I've had with these.
Yeah.
So, and now joining us, hello, Script.
Hey,
Are
guys.
you there, sir? Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Pretty good. And yourself?
Pretty good. I first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course.
I really enjoy you guys and your content. And then
also,
I apologize. I apologize for the lack of creativity with the screen.
No worries.
I'm kind of an old man. I don't really know how to. I don't have Facebook, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So I just kind of I don't want to show my face, as you guys know. So I just did the only thing I could think of.
Hey, we just go with our own little avatars here, and as you see, Tuscan Bob, he's Tuscaned out. So
Script, Script, don't feel bad. It took me 8 months to figure out how to get an avatar on this thing, so I understand.
It did take.
Well, thank you.
Okay, guys, so we are here. Oh, we've got plenty to talk about. That's for darn sure. And I don't know if anybody's been noticing the part kerfuffle, because we'll go into this one since it's already been kind of topical with some of the online goings-ons. From what I've been seeing, at least, is the discussion on where is it? The whole Acolyte and it being the main Sith run series, or the first what was it they were calling it the first Sith focused story. It was the comment made by the, I believe, the lead actress for the Acolyte show. And I saw it crop up myself. I shared it. I retweeted it. I was like, excuse me. We've got some other stories that have been told. And I just named off the quick ones.
No, there hasn't.
Yeah, those don't count anymore. And the video games now don't count either, I guess.
I guess not, no. But I just laughed because it seemed like even though I popped off on it, EU Commando on Twitter has been getting the pile on. That's for damn sure. When it came to this little story, sorry, I'm just I thought I had it in our Discord already.
I think you posted it.
I thought I did. I pull so many darn stories at this point. It's just like,
is that the guy that was saying that was bringing up all the other stories, and then people were
yes, out? and everyone was freaking to freak out.
Well, yeah, because they're like, I think I saw that exchange because they're like, oh, but they obviously meant for on the TV screen.
That, but like was I even reread the quote from the person. They are very general. They did not specify, and it's like you are now trying to insert your own what they were meaning, sort of thing. And instead of just like, if that's what she meant, then that's what she should have said. That's where I'm kind of at for sure on that.
Well, and I would argue that the prequels are a Sith story.
That's what I said. That's what I responded with. It's Palpatine already infiltrated the Jedi Order and did all that. Well, basically through a surrogate. So we've seen this.
Yes. No, that's I didn't even. Yeah. So here I'll even kind of because Tim from Open Airlock, he of course commented about it. Of all the mainly the pile on. Getting it right now. All right, there we go. So like he said, we fully support EU Commando. The actress and the blueberry brains replying to him would be well advised to stand down and listen to their betters when it comes to Star Wars. Anyone who dogpiles on you for pointing to the truth is despicable and deserving of our contempt. I love it. He's gone.
That's pretty direct.
Yeah, it's direct. I love it, and it's just zero shits given on that front.
Yep.
But let me pull up.
Tim pulls no punches, man. Like he's very direct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about him.
So yeah, of course we got our lovely friends over at CBR posting this. The Acolyte Star promises a Sith-led mystery series. Yeah, and we can only imagine because this is supposed to take place 100 years prior to Phantom Menace. So it leads some things open for what people are. I've seen people talking about of the potential of them introducing Plagueis, which
don't do it. They'll ruin them.
Oh, I know. Oh, I agree.
Of course they'll ruin them.
But this is so.
He and Palpatine will be gay lovers.
Oh, dear Lord, no. They freaking will too.
Well, Disney has a habit of claiming to be the first to do a lot of
everything,
things, right?
Yeah, they're the first.
And it's
to
like
do
everything's new in the last 5 years. It's like, movies and books and culture's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nobody remembers anything before like 2015, though. So everything now is like a new first.
Everybody's 7.
It's like they keep pushing the clock forward to where there's a point that we stop remembering things. But yeah, it's from this, I can't tease that it's a prequel. Keen joked when asked if it should reveal anything about the Star Wars series during an interview with Tech Radar. No, I mean, as you know, it's set 100 years before the prequel movies, and it's kind of an explanation of how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi. It's a Sith-led story. So again, this isn't specifying. She's not saying this is a Sith-led movie or video game or book. She's making it leaving it very open, which is why it's just ridiculous of the dog pile that, you come along and go, well, actually, there are these other stories that were Sith centric.
They're going to be I think she's being intentionally vague here because if they actually put Sith in it and having characters, your choices given the timeline is going to be pretty slim.
Very.
Even if you throw out the EU and only go with the movies, the Sith aren't active in this period and working openly, so it would have to be like agents of the Sith or some sort of shadow Sith spy kind of characters.
Well, that's since they say this is supposed to be kind of like a mystery. What is it? The title of this a mystery series. So that's gonna be it's gonna be kind of like what a who done it. People start showing up dead or something like that. Who could have done this? I don't know. The most vaguely evil looking person over there.
But what is that gonna mean though when they say, well, it's about them infiltrating the Jedi? And that's what I was getting at earlier, because I had read that article, and it's like, but we get the sense clearly from the prequels that the Jedi have kind of been running the show.
Right.
And running the show for so long that they got a little bit too lackadaisical. So if something happens 100 years prior, I obviously Yoda's hanging around. And so what problem could there possibly be that would be compelling enough to solve when we already know that the Jedi are running the show? So then you have to go, well, they're obviously going to retcon that now as well. So now more lines from the prequels, more lines from the OT are going to sound stupid and not make any sense. Obi-Wan saying the Jedi, were the keepers of peace for all this time. All these things are going to sound sort of off-putting now, which is what they seem to be doing with everything.
Right.
And that whole conversation in The Phantom Menace
is moot. Yeah.
Where they're like, are you sure it was a Sith? And the whole thing, they were kind of surprised to see a Sith or hear about a Sith being around and doing stuff.
To them, it's been 1,000 years since they last saw a Sith. This was kind of the first guy that popped up, but now it's going to be 100 prior to that. We've had one show up.
Yeah, now you need to put an ADR line in a special edition of episode 1 and be like, oh yeah, those guys, we deal with them all the time now.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a little asterisk at the bottom, kind of like in a comic, saying go back and see Acolyte series or something like that.
Yeah, a little bookmark thing that pops up.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't see how it's going to make any sense.
And they're going to make the Sith so stupid. They're going to be edgelord. They're just going to be so lame.
I could see a story where maybe they have a Sith somewhere in the galaxy that the Jedi and the New Republic or the Republic give a shit about. That means nothing to the greater story. So then it will suck, but at least it won't completely destroy lore. But then it's like, what's the point of even making that?
But it does, because it destroys Rule of 2.
Yeah, it destroys that lore, but they don't care about that. But I just don't see how you can even write it without it just wrecking everything. It doesn't make any sense.
And welcome, Raging Rhino. Welcome to the show, sir. Are you there?
Yes. Good morning.
Sorry,
I'm late.
No worries.
I'm so
it's okay.
sorry.
We got the rundown from Tuscan.
We had the full Aussie last night, and I didn't get too many hours sleep. So,
sorry.
No,
have you ordered your McDonald's yet?
No, I haven't eaten. I've just literally, I got out of bed. I'm like, shit, it's 10 o'clock. I'm like, I need to have a shower, and I'll just jump on. I'll survive.
We'll DoorDash you McDonald's from where we're at.
Yeah.
Well, no cams are required. Oh, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So yeah, we've just been diving into first the little Acolyte synopsis as you've been kind of catching up on the first Sith-led story, as we're being told by this goofy actress.
Well, okay. I kind of get what they're saying. It's the first Sith-led story shown really on screen.
Yeah, I'm of the mind though that language is important, and that was not part of what she was saying at all. She left, and like Tuscan Bob pointed out, she left it vague. It was all just a vague statement being put out there.
Or what I said earlier, the prequels could be interpreted as a Sith story.
And then there's that too.
100%. But you
Like,
sort
we
of
learned
see,
a lot about the Sith in episodes 1, 2, and 3. A lot.
I still see, like, because if the prequels were a Sith-led story, I think we would have seen a lot more from Palpatine's perspective. We would have seen a lot more of what he was doing behind the scenes, and you kind of get that in the Plagueis book with the crossover there.
Yeah, very much so.
Where you actually go on.
The thing is, like, Anakin's fall to the dark side is very, very much a Sith story, and it really kind of tells the mindset and the path you have to go down to reach what he became.
Maybe what she meant was, like, how old is this girl? Maybe what she meant was this is the first Sith story since she's been alive.
She loves all the Star Wars.
Oh, they always love all the Star Wars, and then they get totally debunked on their questionnaire.
What's your favorite one? Oh, I love them all.
I've definitely met at least one person who says that the sequels are his trilogy. He said the sequels are his original trilogy, or what he grew up on.
That's a sad thing to hear.
It is. I about lost my mind in the workplace.
Just go watch junk like fucking Twilight. Sorry, can you say anything?
Yeah.
Or yeah, are you allowed to swear here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Watch Twilight or The Hunger Games or some of that other crap.
Any of the tween bullshit that has been put out in the last 10 years. Good God. But I mean, this is just basically for this little article. That's kind of the main takeaway. That was what certainly jumped out for me, and also for other for poor EU Commando over on the Twitter over there. But
here's the thing with Twitter. Sorry to interrupt, but like,
no, go ahead.
And Sentinel kind of alluded to it in the chat there. Like, the reason he's getting a lot of shit is because a particular person quote tweeted him. That's just how Twitter works, guys.
Yeah,
so like,
it is.
If you're gonna put out a hot take or
gotta be prepared.
Even a bland take that's just not going to be well received by the Spurgs on the other side. You understand it. Like, that's the nature of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's not an attack or anything like that. Sorry to disagree with this Sentinel, but I mean, that's just the nature. Unless the person is saying in their things like, hey, go harass this person in their threads. Like, you put it out there for public, people are going to react to it. That's the way it's supposed to work.
That's the nature of the beast, basically.
That's the way it's supposed to work. We don't want it to work any other way, because then, that's
open discourse completely.
Censorship, right? or like, and if you don't want to get some heat, then don't put your thing on there. We've had people in this YouTube community and everything, like, go directly after like stars and whatever, and then they get blowback for it, and then they start crying that they're being picked on, and be like, well, like, you swiped at them first, fair game if they make fun of your brick wall and your
and learn to ignore them. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of these guys that there's one guy he'll reply 15 times to one of my tweets, just desperate to get me going. You just ignore him. He's an idiot.
Yeah, mute those people or use the block if you want to.
Yeah,
but
like
or cares? Just like there's a lot of people on Twitter that I just won't even bother engaging with, because even if you make a great point and they'll just switch the subject, and it just becomes just this big stupid circle,
big old kerfuffle,
where you don't really get anywhere. You're not going to convince them. It's just not worth your time or effort.
No, a lot of times the little Twitter fights are never worth it anyways. It's kind of like a lot of times for what works for some people is just, post and move on. Make your comment, go. Just, that's all you have to do. Just keep going.
Well, there's no reasoning with something. Like, if you try to reason with them or bring logic to the table, like, they're just totally like oblivious to, like, that's not true, and it's just,
Well, this is
I've had a number of exchanges where eventually I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to stop, because this person's not worth my time anymore. Like, I've made my point. I've made it pretty clear. I feel like I've made the better argument, and we'll let people see it for what it is.
Yeah.
This is what I can't really understand. Like, this is what I hate, actually, especially like when I see things on Twitter and like, for example, the Acolyte we were just talking about. There are people out there that are like, oh, I really hope that we get to see Palpatine, Plagueis.
Yeah.
And I really hope we get to see like certain elements. Like, I hope they bring that back into canon. It's like, okay, first of all, Plagueis should never be out of canon because it is referenced in the movies.
Exactly.
And secondly, the Acolyte takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Sorry, and Plagueis died when he was about 105 years old. So basically, what you're telling me is that you just want to see an infant Plagueis? Is that like, because that, if you actually look at it in the timeline, that's how old Plagueis is. And so how can he be, like, he can't even be the Sith apprentice at that point in the timeline. So this is where their understanding of Star Wars really goes, it really shows how much they don't know.
Well, it shows their just a small lack of comprehension of, like you're just pointing out, time. Time itself. This is something as small as that to keep consistent. And this has been my long-standing thing, is that, at least what we can expect from Disney Lucasfilm is that they are good at being inconsistent. That's their one thing that they are consistent at.
Consistently inconsistent.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all they keep doing with their stories, is that they keep proving to us that they don't know how to keep consistent with their own storylines too. And they can't.
Their own canon.
Or their own canon. I mean, that's
continuity canon.
Continuity canon, however you want to look at it. It's just the funniest thing, and it's like, that is the one saving grace that I am at, of that they did not they keep away from the EU, so that they don't mess that up.
As of now.
But
yeah, just wait. I mean, they're running out of room to work. They're gonna. I mean, obviously with this show, like, if they go the Plagueis route, they're gonna infect it severely. But to the people out there who are like, oh, I hope they do something with Plagueis because you like the Plagueis character, you understand the people that are in charge of it. Like, do you want Leslie Headland to be the mastermind behind
Good God.
Plagueis's entire backstory?
Yeah.
Oh,
like, do you think she's qualified? I mean, like, because in the Star Wars universe, as established in the movies, like, so even not counting EU, but the movies, Palpatine talks to Anakin about Darth Plagueis the Wise, right? You want Headland? Like, this is the person who Palpatine usurped.
Yeah.
And you want Leslie Headland to write that character. The entire backstory for that character.
If they mess up the book, I'm writing.
I just want
more. Then you just want more, and you don't care about the quality. You're just like, I just want the name, and I just want more. You're not a fan. You're a brand loyalist.
Well, now, to be fair though, it's very important that Plagueis is in touch with his feminine side. For me, that's what I need.
Oh,
yeah.
No. Oh, no.
Well, with Bob Iger now in charge again, I'm sure he'll make moves to make that happen.
Well, he already said he's staying firm on the woke. So
I saw that.
Disney saved, right, guys?
Of course he was. Of course he was going to stay firm. Like, he's a person that would, like, help instrument put it all in place.
Yeah.
And Chapek wasn't going to undo that either, because what evidence of Disney products in the last 3 years put to screen or announced gives you any indication that Chapek,
of all people,
was like a based dude?
I never saw any of it. I never saw any of it.
Iger was there when they did the sequels.
Yep.
Iger renewed Kennedy.
Yeah.
And so did Chapek.
Oh, wait, wrong company. Never mind.
They both renewed Kathleen Kennedy.
But see, you said Jay just now that, what they're going to do to Plagueis. They're going to, like, destroy the character of Plagueis if they bring him in. Well, they've already destroyed, and you mentioned this before too, the rule of two. They've already said that the rule of two is two Sith to rule them all.
Right.
They've already come out and said that. It was misunderstood, and that's not what it is. If anyone's been a Star Wars fan for as long as some of us have been, you understand what the rule of two really was. The whole idea is you've got the master to embody the power, you've got the apprentice to crave the power, and what happens is a master has to pick an apprentice that has the potential to surpass the master.
Exactly.
And become more powerful than the master, kills the master, becomes the master, takes on another apprentice that has the potential to be more powerful than them. And so on and so forth, to the point where when Palpatine took over, he was the most powerful being that I think the Star Wars galaxy's ever seen. More powerful than Vitiate from the Sith Empire days.
Right. This is from the Old Republic.
Yeah. Like his amount of power, his amount of knowledge, everything that he knew and everything that he was able to do. And then people want to say, well, you know, Bane tried to do the what's it called? The essence transfer. So why couldn't Palpatine be able to do the essence transfer and come back in the sequel trilogy?
Well, that was the whole Dark Empire arc too.
But see, the whole idea of that then takes away from, and we've mentioned this multiple times, Anakin's chosen one's prophecy being fulfilled and him bringing balance back to the Force.
And that was always my problem with the Dark Empire arc when they brought Palpatine back for that. Even in the comics of those old days, it's a better told story, but it, like you say, it just kind of kicks that whole prophecy and stuff right in the balls.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, that's a favorite thing that people like to use to like to counter the Palpatine. Well, they did it in the EU and you guys love the EU. Like Dark Empire wasn't universally praised. There were a lot of people that were like, nah, I don't like this.
Like there's the little bits and pieces of it that aren't horrendous, but it's just like it is the whole thing. It's just didn't need to happen. Yep. Could have been done differently. But yeah.
So when it comes to this acolyte stuff too, it's kind of like how they're going. It's like you're marketing a movie, and the actors are generally. I mean, I know Mark Hamill went off before The Last Jedi for months, but most of the time the actors are held to a pretty tight leash. What can you reveal? What you're allowed to say?
Right.
And so I think about it. I'm like, so you've got this show that's very mysterious. Everybody already assumes it has a Sith background or approach or whatever. I mean, just the title font makes you realize that. Mm-hmm. And so what would be the purpose of coming out and saying this, and how would this help you market this show? All it does is just create more controversy and issues, and people get pissed off. And they're doing this with everything. It's like James Cameron with the whole testosterone nonsense. Like all these, every time a movie or show is going to come out from mainstream Hollywood right now, it's always some stupid comment or dumb. Like, have they just completely lost how to market?
It's just a new type of marketing. Basically, it's basically the hate marketing. They now will just thrive off of that, because no matter what, on things like Twitter, any social media, so long as it's being talked about, it's being fed into the system. So one way or another, it's getting around, and they've just kind of latched themselves onto that style of doing it, because they realize it like what's the old saying? There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? That's
no bad press.
That's what they're going off of.
Is that what? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's why they gaslight us right before the launch of things. Like, remember all the Reva shit and
and
that kind of stuff. That was intentional to gaslight.
But here's the question. So, a lot of that stuff is affecting their bottom line in a negative way. So then you have to ask yourself: so, has it transcended from the idea of making money into just the agenda? And of course, where does that go? Because if you're going to market something like him coming out and saying that isn't going to make people want to go watch the movie, you coming out and saying that Wakanda Forever isn't for white people, it's going to make it lose money. So is it just to create a rage and then not make as much money? Like I don't really get the thought process behind some of these comments right before these movies are coming out. It doesn't make any sense, or shows.
Well, you're assuming that it's causing them to lose money, and I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I know every time there's a flop or a movie is perceived to not do as well as maybe we thought it should. Like, you know, we're happy to pounce on the whole go woke, go broke thing, and it's like, Disney Plus.
I think they're going to make money no matter what.
Doesn't need people watching Star Wars. It just needs people subscribed.
A lot of it is them getting their own government kickbacks too, like with the ESG scores and stuff like that, and just in general for whatever they managed to rope in. This could be conspiracy theory talk, but I mean that's effectively what these big companies are getting is their own kickbacks that help keep them staying on top, which is
it keeps them in power within the organizations. I don't know if it's financially beneficial for them.
Well, that's where I'm just kind of like you say with the whole go woke go broke. I'm not seeing enough returns on that. I want some more receipts happening to these piss ants to really. Yeah,
and you can point to Disney's
happening.
Lost billions of dollars on the streaming service and everything, and it's like, is that if I were in charge of Disney, God forbid.
Ooh.
I do a lot of fun things, but like one thing I would start to ask myself is like, okay, what is our core audience really subscribing to the service for? And do we really need to have $100+ million budget shows in order to keep them subscribed? Because in my personal life, the people that I know that are subscribed to Disney Plus are doing it for the old movies and the cartoons. They're not,
a lot of people do it for.
They watch the other stuff because they already subscribe, but like that's not what caused them to pull the trigger on the subscription, and it's not what's keeping them subscribed. And so like even if it does well on the streaming service, unless it draws in like millions of new subscribers, like the thing's going to lose. So if you spend $150 million on a TV show, right? And it's how much is Disney Plus? $7 a month, $8 a month, or whatever. Yeah, assuming people are paying the full price and not getting a discount or whatever. Like, how many people need to subscribe for a year based on that one show alone for the show to even break even? These streaming services got us. I mean, they've been pumped up by loose monetary policy and people chasing stocks and chasing subscribers, thinking that the subscriber growth curve is just going to keep going endlessly.
Right.
And that was never going to be the case. And so now these studios need to start looking at these things and going like, okay, we can't spend $20 billion on programming for our streaming service. Like the entire movie industry isn't worth that much.
Well,
like if you look at box office receipts, even pre-pandemic, like a $20 billion box office year was like the tops.
Right.
For the entire box office. So, and you're spending $20 billion for your streaming service?
No, you got a good point there. Because I mean, it's got to give it. It's got to give at some point.
Well, they got to get their budgets under control and start putting the stuff like market the stuff that people
actually want to see,
are interested in, and people who are subscribed to Disney Plus.
But this is that for going off of that point right there is also what I have said a lot of times when people brought up, oh, they're gonna retcon the Disney trilogy. They're gonna retcon it. No, they won't, because very simply that would be them admitting they made a mistake, and that is one thing they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. And they don't need to in order to maintain like. You look at the past 5 years, right?
Right.
We got Last Jedi. We got Rise of Skywalker. We got Gina Carano getting fired. We got the don't say gay bill controversy and everything else like that. And have people abandoned Disney Plus in mass numbers? I'm sure there are people that did cancel their subscription and don't subscribe. I won't say it had zero effect, But they're looking at it and going like, we don't need to retcon the sequel trilogy. Like, we can just play over here in this timeline and ignore it, and it'll be fine.
I will say though, excuse me. I will say though that there is a slow decline in terms of their projections and where they need to be to continue the growth in terms of the stock and everything else, because they changed their projections. So there's an article the other day I was reading, I think I tweeted about it, but where they took their projections down for 2024 from between 240 and 260 million subs to 215 to 240 million subs, and they just barely are where they want to be now based on the 2024 new projection. They're just barely at the bottom of where they want to be. So it is a possibility that it is affecting them in the sense that they're not getting the growth that they thought they would get. So like a show like Andor, for example, whether people like it or not, I obviously have some problems with it, but it didn't do nearly as well, and it didn't add as many subscribers as I'm assuming they thought it would, and then that's why you lower your projections for the next couple of years, because you didn't get the gains. It doesn't mean that their empire falls, or theyese people, they're like, oh, they're just gonna all die.
No, certainly. Of course they're not gonna go bankrupt.
But it does speak to the idea that they could be doing better without all this nonsense. And if I'm a shareholder, I'm questioning, if I'm a major shareholder, I'm asking them, why is it that we're not getting the projected growth that we thought we would? And why do we have to keep lowering those numbers so that it's okay, but it's not great? Like, why don't they want it to be great, and why aren't they demanding it be great? And I guess maybe they just don't give a shit. I don't know.
It's because the numbers were bullshit to begin with. And I think people learned through Netflix, investors learned through Netflix, that there's diminishing returns on the money that you're pumping into these streaming services. Like, so Netflix has been around. They were the king of streaming. They still are the king of streaming, certainly by subscriber count. And they came out and said, like, yeah, we need 200 million subscribers to basically hit the break-even point for our streaming service. That's the break-even point, is 200 million subs. And they hit a wall. And part of the revisions down is Disney's realizing, like, yeah, that wall's coming for us too, because at the same time that they're dumping money into the service, other services are popping up and competing. Because we've had the launch of the HBO Max, or whatever the Warner streaming service is called these days, and we've got NBC's out there now with their own platform.
Yeah,
there's just more and more
platform now.
There's more and more competition for that subscriber base, and I think that, like, the global market for streaming and everything just kind of hit a wall. It was bound to hit a wall, and the wall was a lot closer than people initially thought it would be. And I think Netflix kind of proved that. Well, and I think it also really scared people off, and that's when you saw that first big drop in the streaming services tech stock was that first Netflix, kind of when they hit that wall. It took like every stock took a dive.
I think in terms of for Disney, though, doesn't it kind of also relate to the fact that they own things like Hulu and everything? So people's attentions are also like you say, there's NBC and all these other platforms that have their streaming services. People are really picking and choosing, especially now, where they're going to be spending their time. And that's why then we saw Andor make its way to Hulu. For what, the first 2 episodes they put?
Yeah. So if the show's not drawing interest from your own huge already existing subscriber base, it's not drawing people. Like, who on earth was like, oh, I don't want Disney Plus, until they heard about Andor and was like, oh, I'm in.
I am there, man. I am
like,
so
I'm
there.
signing up because of Andor. And when you look at it from that perspective, because the whole goal is more subs, that's how they make their revenue. Andor, if Andor's budget was $10, it's a flop.
Yeah. Well, now
the show should not be made, and Acolyte's going to be another one of those. I don't see that show drawing a lot of interest.
No.
The interest that we've seen from the other stuff is you had The Mandalorian, okay, which I think is the exception, But the other shows, they had to bring in Vader and Kenobi and stuff to just draw even an interest.
Yeah. Look what they did to them. Jesus Christ.
The lack of interest in Andor, it was completely telling. And I think that if they had, like, that's why they're basically got to bring in now things from the EU. They've got to pick and choose. And I mean, they've been doing it for ages now, but they've still got to sit there and pick and choose what they want to bring in from the EU to at least keep some sort of semblance of an audience with Star Wars.
But that audience, honestly, is not that big. When you look at Star Wars is very much a mainstream product.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, based on the success of the original movies. And I'm like, I have no way of measuring this, but I'm going to guess, just a ballpark, that 85 to 90% of Disney Plus subscribers have no idea what the EU even is.
Yeah.
Oh, I 100% agree with that.
So, like, if their marketing campaign is to bring in EU characters, be like, oh, we're going to do Plagueis. Well, maybe Plagueis because people heard it in the Phantom Menace, but like some of these other characters, the people are going to be like, who?
Yeah. Like,
you know why Mandalorian was a success is because all the girls are goo goo gaga over that freaking green rodent.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why Mandalorian was the exception, and then people are like, "Oh, look at the cute little baby!"
Yeah. Right? I knew
otherwise.
I knew I was getting my hopes up too when I was like, "Oh, look at that! He dropped that little son of a bitch off to the Imperials, and he's out. All right, next episode, he's getting the damn bastard." I'm like, "Oh, of course, I should have known better."
I loved it when the stormtroopers on the bikes and what was it?
Oh, that's still my
chapter 8. They like beat the bag like Ryan Cannell has that like clip where it's just I even put a video where like I did a video called I think 24 reasons why the Mandalorian season finale sucked, and that was a season 1 finale.
Yeah,
and like
and that was
in between each one, I had a clip of the stormtrooper punching Baby Yoda.
Agree, Sentinel. Agree. Die, Baby Yoda, die.
But that's the reason why it was such a success.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like people were not like, oh, I'm so curious. Like the average Star Wars fan that goes to the movie theater and buys a ticket to go see Star Wars isn't that huge on Mandalorian culture. And I think because we are such a close community and the people that are in it are so in it that we kind of lose sight that like our numbers really aren't in the grand scheme of things.
It's not as big as
we're a pretty small blip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Especially when you have budgets that are as outrageous as these budgets are.
Well, and it's entirely true because all the a lot of close friends of mine, a lot of the women that I've worked with and stuff, they didn't give a crap about Star Wars. And then all of a sudden they're showing up during COVID with, excuse me, Grogu masks and little Grogu backpacks and look at Grogu, oh my God, Baby Yoda. And then it's like, do you know who Yoda is? I don't care, Baby Yoda.
They knew, the people at Lucasfilm for that one, they knew exactly what they were tapping into. And this was the thing that they got the female market on.
And I don't think they expected it to be as big as they thought it was.
That's right. And I think that
that's true.
Then they leaned into it.
If you look at the
because
merchandise.
Yeah, because I work retail and they did not get those things out fast enough.
They were not ready for that.
Fast enough.
Hey, you guys, you have made it. We have porn bots in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, girls, 69XYZ, how you doing, baby?
Damn it, Fractured.
Shoot me a sub, baby. Come on.
I don't have the like. There we go. If you sub to the channel,
post your OnlyFans link and your link to your Amazon wish list.
Hold on a second. Why is it that we were talking about Grogu and females loving Grogu, and all of a sudden that shows up?
Yeah, not a coincidence.
But it's exactly right, and even Grogu, like for average Star Wars fans, even average Star Wars fans can see that even he's super problematic. I mean, he's way too powerful. It's not very interesting for me. At least I was like, he's stopping rhinos. He's doing all this stuff that Luke couldn't even do. And
oh yeah, he's ridiculous.
It was just so over the top so quickly that
he's so cute.
But he's so cute.
He was trained by multiple masters in the Jedi Temple when we never heard of he was
never
in
saw
the
this
temple.
little thing.
It's just stupid.
And none of those masters knew healing that they could help Anakin with Padme. So whoever he learned healing from doesn't exist, or he exists and was like, you know what? Let Anakin just fall to the dark side. Who cares about Padme?
This is Disney Lucasfilm's problem with what they do. They then come out and say, "Oh no, the reason why Rey was able to do force healing was because of the dyad." But then hold on a second, Grogu did it. So who's the dyad with Grogu? And this is apparently a dyad is one of those things that only ever happens once in a blue moon, you know?
Yeah, if you go by what Disney put out, like Palpatine was pleasantly surprised. He was like, "Whoa, a dyad!"
Yeah.
Like,
God,
he was kind of like shocked by it.
That confused this. I was just as confused as he was. I was like, "What the hell is this dyad shit coming in from?"
It's Force Doodad. Like you're just making up a goddamn name,
MacGuffin,
and like a stupid excuse for things and be like, "Well, it's the Force, so we can just make stuff up." But they never think things through and how it affects the rest of the thing. And there's so much. And especially when you go backwards in time, in the timeline, or you try and insert stuff in the middle of the timeline that already exists, you have to be extraordinarily careful with. Because if you're not, you're going, well, wait a minute. Like, if that can be done, then why wasn't it used here? And, you know, spoiler for Andor, like, okay, like, if we could put, like, lightsabers on ships... Like, where were those ever again? Like, that seemed like a pretty effective tool.
You throw that thing in there, and then it just adds more questions than it does any kind of answers. Because it's
like why doesn't the trenches on Death Star just have a bunch of those like across the trench?
And then
just turn them on and zoom, cut the.
On top of it, you have Luthen's basically precision timing using those things to chop the two
I told you
TIE fighters.
Yeah, but that's the same thing as the precision timing of Slave One in The Mandalorian when he blows up, when he uses that charger thing, you know, to blow up the two TIE fighters. It's perfectly timed for it to destroy them. And it's just, but see, like that, again, they don't think.
Or even better with the charges is with the Sarlacc.
God,
yeah.
They're like, it just happened to orientate itself perfectly.
Damn you,
so it would explode horizontally with the ground and not at like maybe a 45-degree angle, thereby cutting Slave One in half.
I had forgotten
the seismic charge.
Like,
oh wow, that's convenient. It landed just like that.
And wasn't he going to get his suit, even though he crawled out of there with his suit?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just
doesn't make any sense. They don't even watch their own show.
No.
Or read
and
the books,
like with
the bounty hunter books.
With the lightsaber ship, is they don't show where the end of the lightsabers are, which I thought it was pretty funny because it's like they knew if they showed it would look
they kept the shot
more
very tight.
Stupid. So
could you imagine somebody?
These things extend across the galaxy.
Somebody like 10 light years away as their planet gets cut in half.
Planet, they're like, "What is this? Oh my god!"
And it's like, make it interesting by have Luthen have a struggle at least a bit. Like,
don't put that tech on a ship.
Yeah.
Just don't put that tech on a ship. And
look, he
like
already had the Kyber crystal.
The prequels made some errors in that regard, I think, particularly with shields. Because one thing, you just talking about the movies, like, I always, after watching the prequels, I'm like, how come nobody has like the personal shields that the droidekas have, or like even the Gungan shields that are like handheld? What happened to those?
That does bring some of those questions because
why did that tech disappear? And if I'm doing a story in this timeline, one of the things that I might try to explain in my thing is that these shield technologies became obsolete because blaster technology found a way around them. That would be one thing that I would put into the timeline. To maybe explain, like, well, how come nobody has personal shields? The problem with that, though, is the goddamn shields are in goddamn Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That stupid scene.
Oh, the assassins.
Where the assassin just jumps up and like slams herself against the shield for no reason. I mean, that fight sequence was so terrible, but they put him back in the timeline. And of course, Book of Boba Fett takes place around the same time as The Mandalorian. So now we're talking
I forgot about that.
910 ABY, which is of course 10 years after A New Hope.
Yeah,
and now we got shields again. Like, don't put that kind of shield technology, because now
it disappeared for a reason.
Why don't the troopers have that?
Yeah.
Oh,
but see, though, they also don't think about, like, just going back to like a bit of the continuity side of things, and what they don't think about. It's kind of like, I know this is a small one. I don't think it's a small one, but a lot of people will say it's a small one.
Don't say color of lightsabers.
No, Mando's armor in Luthen's store.
Right. Yeah, I remember you pointing that out.
It's been confirmed.
The armor that didn't exist yet, because we saw it being created in an episode.
14 years after the events of this show. So it's kind of like they don't even think about that. It's just, let's put it on the screen because they'll know what it is.
Exactly.
The fans will know what it is.
It'll be just something familiar and like an Easter egg kind of thing. Because it's just on display in a basically meaningless scene. Like, I don't think that's as egregious. I mean, it's bad, but I don't put it on the same level as like lightsabers
on ships.
On a ship.
I agree. It doesn't affect the story nowhere near as much. But
because why wouldn't you design a ship to be utilized those? Do the Palpatine tornado move with your ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess it's because it's like, to me, I feel like there is some degree of importance when you're trying to show off that this guy is, yes, a collector, but the collection should at least make a degree of sense. Because that was like part
like Star Killer's armor.
Half the stuff that he's got in there shouldn't, like, Palpatine. There's no.
He shouldn't have any access to.
Palpatine that I know would be able, because he would be able to sense the Force. Essentially, the Force essence
emanating
out
from
of that
those
store.
items.
That's right. There is no way the Palpatine that I know would allow him to have Jedi and Sith holocrons or technology or stuff that was worn by Jedi or Sith in that. There's just no way. There is no way.
Why is he even collecting it in the first place? Like, doesn't he have higher priorities?
Items, stuff like that. It's like, what the hell?
Well, why is he even collecting it in the first place?
The whole idea is that it's a cover. It's a cover for, for what he's really doing. But does he ever have any customers?
Oh, it's a money laundering front.
He's never sort of. He's never. The only customer that I've ever seen him have in that store is Mon Mothma, and she returns the one item that she actually decided to buy.
Well, Vel did stop by the shop in the. In the episode of the last,
she didn't stop to buy anything. She didn't take anything.
This is true.
Do anything. It was literally there so that they could tell Luthen that the mother died, so that everyone could show up on Ferrix at the same time. It's
lazy,
so contrived.
With so many plot conveniences happening all at once. I'm just like, oh my! Of course, it's gonna be the mother that brings them all there. Oh, yes.
But why is everybody so interested in the mother? Like, I get Andor's reason to be interested in the mother, but
everybody else is interested in Andor. Luthen wants to kill Andor because he knows who Luthen is, and if he gets caught and gets tortured, he's got to take care of loose ends. Val goes there because her scissor sister is there, and she's got to make sure that she's been told to kill him as well by Luthen.
Right.
What's his name? Cyril
Crunchberry guy.
He goes there because it was Andor that blew up his buddies in the earlier episodes, and he just wants to go back and sort of get revenge, but he never actually gets any revenge. He
wanted to find his waifu, damn it.
He wanted to continue stalking his wife.
And he didn't even get any.
Nope.
They didn't explicitly say that he did.
She did.
You got to think like a Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. He did. She did go so far as to say that she should thank him. So that was about all he got.
That's all he got. Didn't show it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
he got a decent handshake. That was it. But man, he was simping hard.
But I don't understand why. Like, I get what they're saying. Like, I can comprehend what they're trying to say, but like, why would Luthen really want Andor dead just because he can identify him? Well, a lot of people is he gonna kill Mon Mothma?
Hey.
Well, exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
Like what? Like, you know, they explain it, but the explanation is kind of stupid. Like,
here's the
you would think Andor
way...
would be a useful tool to utilize somewhere else.
Well, isn't that why he recruited him in the first place? So,
right.
So
Yes.
The whole thing for me is the only way they can salvage Luthen as making any sense, and all of these people supporting him, because so everyone's just okay with him allowing 50 people that have joined this early rebellion. They have hardly any people as it is to just get killed for the sake of this other one mole. And to me, more that goes against the whole rebellion idea, because you know, you would find a way to keep those guys' lives intact and find a way through, because you know, life is bigger than you and your control over this cause. So the only way for me that Luthen's character and everybody around him is salvaged is if he ends up being literally working for the Empire. They use him to create this idea that there's a rebellion when there isn't. And for me, that's the only way it works, because
but why would the Empire do that?
Everything that makes sense. Sorry.
Why would the Empire do that? It's a long way round.
Yeah.
The Empire's got that, like they would
establish a fake rebellion so a real one doesn't. I mean, that'd be pretty convoluted.
But that's the only way it makes any sense, because again, and why
I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think that kind of relates.
Why would Andor go to Luthen's ship at all? What was the friggin' and how did he get there before him too? Like,
he teleported.
He instant transmission there. He's just like, boom! I know exactly where he is up there.
No, I know how that worked. Nightcrawler showed up and said, "Hey, buddy, I'm going to take you to Luthen's ship because I know that's where you want to go."
Like, and I'm not
because Luthen is really in Thor, which is in the MCU, which is Marvel, which is connected to X.
There we go. There it is.
It's plausible.
Well,
and I'm not saying
Cyril's mom is from Harry Potter, so I'm sure.
There you go.
I'm not saying that Luthen that story makes a whole lot of sense either. But at this point, it's like, for me anyway, it's like, why are all of these people getting behind this guy who's willing to just
so cavalierly? That's the problem. It'd be one thing if you had to make the sacrifice, because I mean, there's lessons. Like, every general, any person in command of a military or an organization has to understand that at some point you may have to order men to die. Huh. Mm-hmm. That's the nature of war.
Yeah, but they're not
to so cavalierly do it is reprehensible. He's a terrible person. And then that's supposed to be waved away because he made a stupid speech.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, if it was an actual war, like, for example, the rebellion is formed. They're going into these massive battles, you know, Yavin, whatever, Andor. Everybody understands what they're doing. Everybody understands that, you know, you're risking your life.
Yeah, they know the nature that they could be sacrificing themselves.
Yeah, right now they're all falling under the leadership of this guy who has no interest in sacrificing himself at all. He's more than happy to sacrifice anybody else to keep his control over this early rebellion. So you sit there and you go, the only way this could make sense is if he's an actual bad guy, because are these people all just idiots?
They're trying to basically
all morons?
I almost wonder if they're trying to basically do a whole new, like, their own Palpatine. Like,
I told you, I think he's a Sith. I think if he's not a Sith, he's definitely playing both sides of the field.
Right, because it doesn't make any sense.
No, the whole character is just, in my opinion, is just stupid. And I've spent the last 12 episodes trying to figure out, well, let's say like 10 episodes, whenever he first came in, trying to understand his character, because I don't get it. Like, and then that whole Anton thing, like,
that makes sense now. Sorry to interrupt. I just had this cognition, this realization.
Go for it.
The 80 million credits from the heist he just gave back to Palpatine.
Yeah, where'd that money go?
He just gave it back to
Palpatine. Rhino
Palpatine.
started on that now.
No, but he's been right. It's like, where the hell did all those credits go? Because, like, again, Rhino, you pointed it out, is that, you know, that money would have gone to help Mothma with her 400,000. That could have been cleared right the hell up.
And that's what's like. No, to bring this up, I mean, Ryan brings up a good point. It's like this whole leading up to this whole Aldani scene and the stealing. We're gonna steal the payroll from Imperial Sector because that's gonna piss HR off, right? Sheev's gonna be pissed, but then we never find out what happened to the
it's just the story thread that just gets stopped. It's just chopped off.
But it vanishes into the wind.
Yeah,
but that was like there was such a focus on Aldani, and they had these characters like, oh, you haven't heard about what happened to Aldani, and then like you don't even get to figure out what happened with Aldani or the money, and it's like
it's just basically Andor holds him up for the money that he's owed, and then he bunks the fuck off to a beach planet, acts like a retard, gets himself caught, and then he's in prison.
But the 80 million credits, the 80 million credits actually paid for that Imperial prison.
Bruh.
Yeah,
maybe it
actually. So not only did Andor build the parts for the Death Star, but he also
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Rhino's channeling his inner Disney.
well, think about this too. So Luthen is talking to Saw, right? He's talking to Saw.
Yep.
And he tells him he's going to let all these guys die. Saw doesn't like it. And then Luthen puts a gun to his head. Luthen puts a gun to his head, and Saw's got all his men around and doesn't do a single thing about it. Oh, yeah, you know what, Luthen, you put a gun to my head, so I support you even more now.
Oh, you made a really good point there. I think you're right. We're going to do this. We're going to sacrifice these people now. All right, cool.
Well, even out of the 80 million credits, he didn't keep like, a million of those credits to give some to Saul Guerrero. He didn't keep some to give some to Mon Mothma.
No.
They just got distributed. The explanation is that's already been distributed. And again, why did they even recruit Andor? He was apparently the only one that was going to be able to fly the ship, but after he leaves Val just flies the ship back.
She manages to appear on Coruscant. What the hell?
What happened to the Kyber crystal? She hasn't actually met up with Luthen. What happened to all of these elements, these plot points, these things that they just drop? They just drop them.
They've been just as abandoned as Andor's sister.
So, this is a question that I want to ask you guys, because I've asked Fractured this many a time. But do you think they're just are they just stupid with their writing, or are they writing this on purpose to piss people off, and they don't have to give any explanation because the DSW fans, all the shills, they're going to eat it up because it's the greatest thing
they're
ever.
Just lazy.
They could say Palpatine's a woman, like, oh yeah, she's a woman. That's right.
Yeah, they're just lazy. They are just lazy.
Like I thought Kenobi was bad.
They don't care.
I thought Kenobi writing was I thought it was atrocious, but I thought it was lazy. And like script, I watched script stuff, and I think he said it beautifully. He's like, this is just I think you said it like porn parody, but the writing was just lazy, right? And I think this is equally just as lazy. And so
I think there's two issues there. I think you've got one. The writers are not being hired on merit; they're being hired on nepotism. Is the first problem.
Yeah,
and you see that with the acolyte. With the acolyte, what's her name there? Like she has no business being in that project. She's just a buddy, and so we'll give it.
No, she should be nowhere near this sort of thing.
And then the second point is that they write based on a visual. So they've been doing this for a long time. So they wanted the visual in Kenobi of Anakin's helmet chopped in half. They wanted the visual.
They wanted to recreate
Skywalker
that
with all these ships. And so then they say, we want this visual. How are we going to make this visual happen? So they write the story around the visual rather than putting the visuals to a good story. So you end up with this nonsense of Lando recruiting 15,000 people in a day, and you get this stupid, terrible.
J.J. Abrams writing School 101. That's exactly what you get when you hire J.J. Abrams.
Well, that's the funny thing that we've gone through.
He wants a scene, and he will do whatever it takes script-wise to get to that scene.
Yeah.
And we already saw Vader's helmet cut in half, so they're just doing it to just placate to that again.
Yeah.
And at least when Vader's helmet was cut in half in Clone Wars, I'm not a big fan of that show at all, but at least there was a reasonable story behind it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that again. You've already done it. But no, we got to do it again. We got to
at least there was an
emotional
emotional
get everybody riled up
behind it because it was Ahsoka versus Anakin.
Yeah.
So
that whole
not only did it just have
culmination.
like a narrative purpose, I hate Clone Wars and Rebels, but like you could justify that. But I want to go back to the 80 million credits here because I think something has been missed, and that is so the source of this money is the payroll account for a sector.
Right.
Yep.
And they took 80 million. What was the total that was in that payroll account?
If you actually multiply it, there's five or six more rows.
400 million?
80 million credits. So yeah, you could say 500 million.
We'll say 500 million. Half a billion.
Yep. Half a billion.
Okay, half a billion credits. This is the payroll account for the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back. Let's put ourselves back in our current world. So the payroll account for like an aircraft carrier. What do you think that payroll account's dollar amount is compared to the cost of the aircraft carrier?
Like the actual payroll of everybody on.
Yeah, so like whatever they're paying everybody for the pay period, 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever, however they get paid. How much do you think is that dollar amount in relationship to the cost of the aircraft carrier? Minuscule. Absolutely minuscule.
Yeah, you would think so.
So like a payroll account, what this show is telling us is that 80 million credits or half a billion credits really isn't that much money because it's just the weekly payroll for the workers in a particular sector, even if there's a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
Like that amount of money then is not very significant. So like of what use is like a 1 week or 2 week pay period or even 1 month pay period of stormtroopers' salaries? Like, how much is that going to really buy you for your rebellion?
Take it one step further. This is where I go back to the whole thing with Mon Mothma's arc. What the hell is her 400,000 credits going to do? So she risked her whole family and everything for literally like a drop in the butt. What are you going to do? Nothing with that.
Well, because
where is Bail Organa?
Exactly.
These payroll caches would be scattered throughout the galaxy, right? If it's just by sector, you wouldn't have like one bank have literally all the physical money for every Imperial employee for the entire galaxy. It wouldn't be in just one bank, so it'd be spread across. So
but why the
problem
hell
for me in this is one of those things that they just don't think about is like if it's a payroll account.
And why isn't half a billion credits?
Much.
But why isn't half a billion credits being protected by stormtroopers? Oh, that's right, because nobody would be stupid enough to attack it.
You know, well,
of course, there's that.
That is the money is just
thing.
For an organization that should be very, secure and on every level. Right. Yeah, it's like what?
So bad.
Like you would have thought in that basement floor, basically where they had the money stashed, that's where you'd find a freaking legion of stormtroopers waiting for somebody to mess with them.
And they have no digital banking system. Like they pay, like they actually pay like cash.
Yeah.
To their stormtroopers.
Well, they get this is the same Empire where Mando is able to go into a base, take it off his helmet, and gain access.
Oh,
like. That's one of the dumbest moments in all of Star Wars. Like, have any face to continue. Like, wow, that's a hell of a security. Like, here's our brilliant security protocol that will allow you access to the highest level classified data, the location of the leadership.
And somebody
and the question is, do you have a nose?
He is known to the Empire. That was just it too, because in the end
even if he wasn't unknown, why would he be in the system to verify again?
I'm just saying, though, it's like being the fact that he was known to Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Where the hell was his face not like alerting immediately that whole place? Yeah, believe me, I'm with you on the whole. It's stupid. He showed face. Pass go collect $200. You got your information, but just by that then fact, he's known.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? Where was the alarm bells for that?
Who designs these security systems? Yeah. And then to add insult to injury, he calls up and taunts Gideon, like, "I'm coming for you, Gideon." And Gideon's like, "Well, then I'm going to park my ship right here and wait for you."
Where you know it is.
Because if I just took one hyperspace jump, you'd have no idea where I was.
Right.
Like, you would never find me because I could just hyperspace jump one time to any location anywhere. and you wouldn't know where I was.
He ran out of fuel.
The other thing that pisses me off about this episode, or not this episode, but the show is, and like I said, I'm not as probably knowledgeable as I should be with EU lore and everything, but like the way that they portrayed, the way that they portrayed Moth, like I couldn't handle it. I couldn't deal with it. Like it just pissed me off.
Who? Mon Mothma, or who are you talking about?
Well, how they portrayed Moth and the whole like her just her demeanor and how she would respond to.
Well,
like
I said this just before, like in regards to her having to essentially sell off her daughter, right? By the end of this show,
all it really was a meeting. He did not, stipulate that it had to go anything go through. He was just like, hey, I would like them to meet.
Yeah, but you know that there's a proposal coming.
I do.
You know that there's going to be a proposal coming. But the thing
only because her daughter keeps wanting to do everything she can for whatever reason to piss off her mom, which we have no other context for other than
that's right.
Ooh, I hate mom.
Yeah.
Okay, but why?
Yeah.
Teenaged angst.
Because the writers hate their moms.
I continue to say it. Where the hell is Bail Organa throughout all of this? He is actually one of the richest people in the galaxy and would actually be able to help Mon Mothma with this 400,000 credits that she needs.
He would be the prime person she could go to,
and she wouldn't have to sell her daughter. It's so.
You know what the funny part about that too is at the very beginning, I think it's the first or second episode when Mothma is talking to Luthen. She shows some resistance to his plans. At the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, okay, and then you figure later on, oh, maybe Bail will step in and she'll realize that this Luthen guy's kind of not really the leader you want, and blah, 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 blah. No. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Bail should be in there, 100%.
Yep.
He could totally
she should be consulting with him in some form or another, considering she consulted with him for the whole list of the 2,000 senators and stuff like that when they were trying to go after Palpatine.
Yep.
But remember, guys, like the entire rebellion success is based on the fact that the Imperials didn't have direct deposit for their
oh no
for their employees. Like if they had direct deposit, like Luke Skywalker would have never defeated
Palpatine,
the Empire.
You dropped the ball. You masterminded the whole Clone Wars, but you should have picked direct deposit, boy.
They messed up.
That's where you dropped it, man.
It's crazy. And this is the thing that, like, we look at these things, we delve into it. We're like looking at the, how does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. Where is this person? Why have we just cut off after that story thread? What happened to this? What happened to the Kyber crystal that Luthen gave to Andor and Andor gave to Val? That story just gets dropped. All of these elements just get dropped.
His sister,
the Disney SEALs out there that love this stuff, they're literally like, oh, it looks really good. It sounds really good. Okay, I understand that the shots looked good. I get that. I think there were some shots in there that looked good too.
Yeah.
But what happened to the 80 million credits? Where is Bail Organa? Like all of these questions. Answer one of them. Just at least answer one. In isolation, let's just look at one question at a time. Answer one for me. No, it looks good.
Any of them.
Fuck off.
This series started out with Andor going to a stripper joint, trying to look for his sister.
And executing two guys in cold blood, like for nothing.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, if they had beat him up or something, and they were gonna kill him, and he pulls his gun out and just in a defense mechanism.
Yeah, if like the second cop that he had basically dead to rights before he did execute him, if he was going for a gun, okay. If you had shown him going for a gun, that would have made it seem okay, considering he accidentally killed the first guy. The second guy,
him sneezing and cracking his neck.
Exactly.
But then there's this new narrative out there. It's like, when we would criticize like the sequels or The Mandalorian or whatever. oh, Star Wars is for kids. What are you taking it so seriously for?
God.
Star Wars is for kids. Andor is this new adult version of Star Wars. It's all adult. It's all mature.
Yeah.
And you're not mature enough, so you must go and watch your kids' programs. Hang on a second. You just said that Star Wars is for kids. Now you're saying that it's for adults, and now you're telling me because I don't understand it, continue watching my children's programming?
Yeah.
Like, do you see your hypocrisy in what you're saying, you fucking weirdos?
Well, and the thing is everybody in Andor pretty much is just a selfish piece of shit on both sides, and it's very Game of Thronesy, and it made me think that that's the whole, even the rebels, right? Andor's looking out for number one, kills
the whole
guys.
broken morality and shit.
Everybody's
like that,
part of. No one in the rebellion is really looking out for anybody other than themselves. Really, they're all fighting like all the little bitchy scenes on that, by the dam or whatever with the group of them and everyone's bitchy. And it's just like, they're trying to write this sort of Game of Thrones style, third tier shitty Game of Thrones style show for Star Wars where everybody's just out for themselves. So that's great. Eh? So the rebellion started off with everybody looking out for themselves, including Mothma, who's so concerned about her money that she's going to let her daughter just, have her life completely turn around and possibly, sucked into the void of, elitism, crap. And it's just
all the things she hates.
Just shitty.
Well, I mean, I'm going to stand by this one too. I mean, we basically have the fact that Andor as a child was kidnapped by this crazy cat lady. And then
at the age of about 12,
and then he basically forms the attack. Well, I had the term earlier. Gosh darn it! But basically gets convinced to be her son.
Oh, Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
But hang on a second.
And they make it into the most positive thing in the world. I'm like, what are you doing?
In Rogue One, he was in the fight since he was 6 years old. Actually, no, he was in the fight since he was about 25 years old because he was never in the fight up until he teleported to Luthen's ship. He wasn't in the fight when he was in the prison. He still wasn't really in the fight when he was doing the heist.
No, he was just doing it because it was a job and he was hired by this crazy guy to get him out of that situation.
Why did they have to train Andor how to essentially pretend to be an Imperial?
That was so cringy.
When he'd already stolen from an Imperial fucking ship or an Imperial base from the very first episode.
Yeah, but let's also not forget that he worked for the Empire as a cook.
He has clearly been successful in infiltrating some form of the Empire to steal that part that he had to sell to Luthen, that Luthen didn't really want because he'd been watching over Andor and the things that he'd been doing. But let's train him again. And now because he's running away, let's kill him, even though I've been watching him for this long. Like,
now, to be fair, though,
nothing that makes any sense.
To be fair, though, the training sequence of Andor learning to march like an Imperial soldier was more compelling than Rey's training sequences in The Last Jedi. I will say that.
Yeah.
Touche, well played. I agree.
Yeah.
Just so cringy. You need to learn to walk like a soldier for 10 minutes of this episode. Oh, thanks.
Well, he's brought in as their next specialist, and yet he's just acting like the most clueless person in the world.
No. But they did it to try and make Andor look smart. Remember when he says, "Oh, you guys should swap sides."
Yeah, he starts pointing things out. Yeah,
and then they're like, what is your trigger finger? Like, what side? Left-handed or right-handed? It's like, okay. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I'm an Australian. I've never really shot a real gun, to be honest with you. And I could see that based on which side a policeman's holstered their gun would tell me what hand, like whether or not they're left or right-handed. I can see based on how somebody writes whether or not they're left or right-handed. I'm not like, it's such a stupid thing. Oh, he's so smart, so intelligent because he can determine which side of their body they actually hold their gun and which side they fire with.
Well, I'll say I'm a dummy.
There are
I'm a dummy with a lot of
cross-draw.
things. I'm a dummy with a lot of things, but it's like I was looking at. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to be impersonating military people. You should be uniformed to each other. That's the whole point. So yeah, like you say, yes to how their trigger and stuff like that. But I mean, also they're marching along. They should be uniform to each other, basically mirroring it. They're the whole off gun thing where they basically look like they could be shooting each other in the foot. I'm like, that just looks off, even from my layman's perspective.
Guys, I mean, it doesn't require any skill to infiltrate a base. You just need a big trench coat.
Apparently. No.
Well, this is the thing too. It's kind of like, the reason why they were able to infiltrate Fortress Inquisitoris was because, and the reason why there's no shields or anything is because nobody would be stupid enough to attack it. Why are they able to pull off this heist? Because there's not enough troops there, because nobody would be stupid enough to attack it. It's just the same writing.
That was even in Andor's lines in, what was it, the 4th episode, when he's talking to Luthen and for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, it's just so easy. You just walk in like you own, basically like you own the place.
Yeah.
They won't pay attention to you." And he just made just with that when I heard that in the trailer, and I believe Hitman and I went over, it's like this with that line, you made the Empire look stupid just with that too.
Yeah,
they've made the Empire look stupid this whole.
Oh, I know, but it was just like added on to everything else. And like you say, they're nobody would attack this, so your uber militarized fascist organization, they don't want security at all on places just because
but at least we got to see police brutality, that's
that was of course very on top of all of that too, they get all righted out, right? But at the same time, Deidre freaking I just call her
Andor's
sister. you call her Andor's sister. I call her Imperial Ellen DeGeneres.
I call her talking through teeth lady.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about resting bitch face?
Yes, resting bitch face.
Nice.
But she gave full permission, right? She said, let them have their little ceremony. Give them all the
but she also said only allow 40 of them. She actually gave a number, and the entire fucking town shows up.
Okay. So now that actually does make a little more sense why they rioted out.
Yeah, but you get the very Earth America police barricade where the stormtroopers have to wait for the order to shoot, even though they're kicking the shit out of Imperial officers.
Right.
Gotta get that in there.
I gotta ask a question too.
Yeah.
If I throw a grenade, right, into like a barracks where there's other grenades. Now, the grenade that I throw doesn't land on top of all the other grenades, but it lands next to it to the point where
just enough.
Like, the crates will actually tip over and other grenades will fall out of that crate.
Right.
Would those grenades ignite?
Not on their own, no.
You've still got to pull the pin, right? And
activate them or whatever.
Activate them, whatever
you got to do,
So the convenience of that.
I just wanted to bring up one thing, guys. It's really funny if you really think about it too. Is so you had that scene on the planet. I keep forgetting the planet names. The one with the dam and all the money and all that crap. And so remember when the TIE fighter flies over and they're all like, "Oh no!" and they kind of just. They don't even hide. They just kind of cover their weapons on the table.
Yeah.
And so the TIE fighter sees them. And then you're like, oh, no, they're going to come after them. Like, you can't have people, like, living around this place. Like, the Imperials are going to come. They never do. But when they finally do, the two women are in the little cave. And all it was a couple officers going to take a piss.
Yeah.
And they literally walked 100 miles from the dam to take a piss.
Yeah.
Like, what was that?
I thought they were. I just thought they were on patrol or something. Like they're
maybe they were, but it was like, why? Would
not to give them any credit? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
why
it was
didn't
just
they blast
so
them
bizarre
out of the sky though, or blast them out?
The whole thing with that scene was so that the women could roll their eyes at the men. How dare they take a piss in front of us? Oh, how disgusting!
And take a piss outside, right? Like that's that's male privilege right there.
Yeah.
But
so bad.
There's so much wrong with it, right? And that's the thing. Like everyone that likes it just seems to think it's like just the bat's ass of every Star Wars show. And it's like break it down. There's so many problems.
Every Star Wars show that comes along is the next best one, right?
It's so mature. It's so adult. It's so, oh my God, it's so incredible.
Yeah. Yet we have bickering families showing Imperials out in the fields taking a piss. You know, that's the little things like
Didn't
that.
somebody say son of a bitch or shit or something in there too?
Yeah, shit was
that's
mentioned.
the other thing.
Oh shit.
Fraction brought up, there's no Star Wars language in this show. Like, you know, Fracture. Yeah, like, or Sith bit, you know, Kyle Katarn's favorite, you know, it's like
there's none of the lingo whatsoever. And it really, all of it, it's just been the furthering of this, of blurring the lines of reality and fiction. And just, you know, Star Wars is no longer its own world, but now part of our world too.
How is there not a single alien in the prison?
Yeah,
right.
Well, take it another step further. Why aren't there droids? Why is it actually explained that it's cheaper to have sentient beings working in a prison that they have to feed, sleep, you know, have sewage lines for, all of that sort of thing, when they can literally build some droids, program them, and they won't rebel, they won't rise up because they're fucking droids that you can program.
And that droid you're talking about is in the show. He strangles Andor. He's right there.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Later, he becomes his best friend in Rogue One.
As they're building, you know, all those Death Star parts, like Stig here points out, Andor is the third time they attached the disc on the Death Star. Kind of, it was already attached in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
They just they keep messing it up. They had to keep removing it. Their Wookiee slave labor isn't doing its job properly, so they have to get them out. They're re-putting in the dang disc multiple times. It's a mess. What can be said?
What the hell are those spider-looking things that were built in the Death Star?
They're replicators.
Replicators
from
SG-1.
From SG-1. That's right.
Well, that was like. When you were talking about shields earlier, I was thinking about Stargate SG-1 and how they found little ways around some of the shield technology that was used.
Yeah.
Like for Apophis, he had his personal shield. Although it was still goofy it's still goofy as hell though, where you couldn't shoot through it, but a knife because of the lower velocity, moving
slower enough,
the lower velocity of the item can get right through. It's like weird, kind of goofy, but all right, you have your explanation.
Hey, the explanation at least made sense. Like,
they scienced it.
The reason why they figured it out was because Apophis gets thrown a staff weapon through the shield, and they're like, "Hang on a second, if you can throw
maybe
that
there's something
through,
else we
maybe
can do."
That's right.
Yep.
And they figured it out. That's fair enough in my eyes.
Well, that's what, but that's what it's come to now, where it's not even about the explanation being exciting or fun or great
or interesting.
Can it just please make sense? Please, just make sense.
Just a little, just a little bit of sense. Please.
Just consume product and get excited for next product.
Yeah, well, that was my thing about the holocrons in Luthen's shop. I was like, okay, and I said this before. It would have been a really easy off explanation. He was there with his goofy little assistant. He was all antsy because of the heist and everything. And she could have just like pointed to them. Well, why don't you just talk to your holocrons there and get your answers that way? And all he could have just said and been like, those are fake.
Well, no,
they're for display or whatever. Yeah. It could have just been any of those things of like they're just for
explanation. Would have been having the machine from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or Honey, I Blew Up the Baby, and that's how they made them as big as they are.
As big as they are.
Background, yeah.
Well, just little things that would have just been like, okay, they were replicas or something. To go, all right, that's why they aren't having either Palpatine or Vader come knocking on his freaking door going, hey, you have some items we might want to take a look
That's
at.
that must be season 2 where he comes to the shop, Sheev.
Well, so they use droids on. So Stig was saying that they did use droids on Kessel prison. They kind of forgot that one. Yeah.
Forget everything, Stig.
Everything. If Sheev does show up in this season 2, I hope he does, but he better show up with the woman he's banging. That's all I know.
Hey, yeah. Like even the Jedi, what is it? The Jedi Guard helmet.
Yeah.
The Jedi Temple Guard helmet.
The Temple Guard, yeah.
Like, how did he get his hands on that? Like, I said in one of my videos, like, did he go after Order 66 and just,
loot the place?
After this temple was sacked, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to take this helmet off this Jedi Guard.
I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that.
I'm going to put that in my store.
Story for another time, my friend.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, even
I feel like they're going to start
supposed to be
introducing
rushed.
war between world type story arc in the near future. They're going to use that. So, like, I don't know. Fracture and I talked about this, and some things I say to just get his blood going, but like that thing there, like if you do research on that, that's I think a way that they can get around retconning stuff. Because if you look at like that explanation of what the war between world, or I always say war between, what is it?
World between worlds.
Yeah, that whole thing is just it pisses me off.
Oh, that thing alone is like, I'm surprised it hasn't been brought back into the forefront of things. I think it will be with the Ahsoka show, but
Raging, I don't know if you did that on one of your shows, but like they had the was it the Morris arc thing in the background?
Yep, the Mortis tablets. Well, see, this is the other thing too, is if you actually look at what happens in Rebels, the Rebels series, like Palpatine's trying to gain access to the world between worlds. That's why he's got people working there, right? And Ezra is the one that makes it in there and gives Palpatine temporary access.
Right.
But
because he happens onto a door that has
Luthen's now just got the tablets in his shop, and
sure,
Palpatine can't sense. Now, those tablets, again, if you actually watch the Rebel series, those tablets were shown to Ezra by the wolves. Right?
Yeah, he was led there by the wolves.
Yeah. And no. When he's knocked out, and it's almost a dream state, but it's not. It's reality, but it's a bit of a shady area, right? The wolves show up and they show him the 3 tablets. Sabine takes a photo of those tablets somehow. I can't exactly remember the series of events, but the wolves take the tablets back. They disappear.
Oh, it's been so long since I've watched that show.
It's been a while since I'd watched it as well. And
you got better memory than me.
So how, so the wolves just drop them off at Luthen's store?
Hey, bro, we think you might want these for your shop. Here you go. We're out.
Here you go. You don't need them anymore.
Oh,
there's
just so many different.
Think about stuff like that. They don't think through these series of events, the circumstances, the plot holes or the things that they're actually creating. It's just good enough for the Disney SEALs to sit there and go, "Oh my God, we got to see more stuff."
Yep. Well, so Stig was firing off. So the de-aging in Indiana Jones will be used in the Mando show. De-age Han Solo is coming. Star Wars will be saved again.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we've talked about this a bit. At least Hitman and I have when they were especially using the voice AI stuff for James Earl Jones for the Vader stuff and Kenobi. I think that technology is horrendous. It's scary as shit. I don't like it. The whole deep fake de-aging sort of stuff. It gets weird. It gets creepy, especially like with Rogue One with Mothma
Tarkin.
Or not Mothma, Tarkin and Leia. Ooh, the Leia was bad. Yeah. But I just think if you're gonna do anything, just get a new actor that looks at least close in resemblance. Don't do this.
I think if you're going to do anything, just move away. Move away from this era.
That too. Yeah, you're right.
You know, this is the problem.
best.
This is the problem, that they don't actually understand the Star Wars. They don't understand Star Wars. They don't understand how hyperspace works. They don't understand how the Force works. They don't understand how space works. Exactly. They don't really understand. They don't really understand it. So if they were to move forward in the timeline, it would be the most removed thing from the Star Wars universe that we've ever seen. People will watch it and go, "Hang on a second, this ain't Star Wars at all." The only thing about it is that it takes place in space. Whereas at least in this era, they can still show the Easter eggs. They can still show characters that you know. They can still, give you the things that make people think that it feels like Star Wars.
Right.
That's why they can't move away from it. They said that they wanted to move away from the Skywalker era of Star Wars, but they keep
back. Well,
get away from it.
The SEALs are claiming that this whole Daisy Ridley meeting at Disney is going to mean that they have a new sequel to the sequels of Rey, but I don't know, like where do you go from here? I mean, she's Superman, so there's no story. Like there's no and she's not even Superman. At least Superman had some kryptonite. There was issues. There's nothing for there's
nothing
to
defeat her.
So
she's going to train an older Grogu. I've already seen honestly, I've already seen. There's already the SEALs are already out there coming up with their little predictions that she is going to be. Grogu obviously has to be 80 years old by the time of the sequel trilogy. So there's going to be a bit older Grogu, and they're going to work together in defeating something or someone.
But what could possibly challenge a Grogu Rey combo at this point? Like
you need to bring Palpatine back.
Canon says that she literally cleared Kylo's mind and turned him from the dark side with her healing. So I always say episode 10,
and
the
she
race
downloaded
or
his
something,
training.
or the chase, because she could just touch the guy and now he's not a Sith anymore. So what there's nowhere to go.
Maybe one of them goes dark and the other one's going to take the other one out.
I would agree with you, Stig, except she lacks all the character and progression at least Luke had to make him into that character. Where are we going to get any of that from Rey?
And they know that, and that's why they stick in this era, because there's, like you guys are saying, there's nothing else compelling really to do. And now they're going to go back and probably screw with tons of lore, like we go back to the very beginning of the show, right? Where they're going to go Acolyte now. They're going to be 100 years before,
going back.
And it's going to screw up a whole bunch of stuff in the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy. It's just not going to make. There's going to be lines of dialogue that don't make sense now.
It's the Bane line.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
they just don't know what they're doing. Basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So
it is nuts. I will be right back, guys.
No problem. Well, and I'll kind of tap onto these. So, I mean, this is kind of Stig bringing up Rebels, and I think that's kind of funny. I kind of set Hitman off at work the other day when I brought up. So, okay, the Ahsoka series, right? So we already figuring that's how they're gonna be bringing back Thrawn. Ahsoka is effectively, I'm going to see as being in the Luke position. She's going to be the Luke of the story for basically them redoing the Thrawn trilogy. Now I'm possibly crazy in here, but
you are.
Hear me out. For this though, Ezra, you would think he would be the more in the Luke position. I'm thinking he's going to be the Sabaoth. Like he's gonna be put into that spot. He's gonna be the one, the mad Jedi, pushing the clone troopers that Thrawn brings out. If they do mimic a lot of the Thrawn trilogy, but that was my thoughts for sure. That I could see them going in that direction, for this Ahsoka series. But this is all just kind of hypothetical. Yeah, I killed the room with that one, didn't I?
You killed me at work the other day when you told me that.
I do you do things to raise my blood pressure. I try and throw a few curveballs your way.
I simply said that Andor was Kyle Katarn. Their version.
You keep saying it, and it keeps pissing me off. So I had to do something. But Dig. The Bad Batch will be the clones in stasis from Thrawn trilogy. Snoke will be Saboth. Ah.
No, because what's the guy's name?
Yeah, because this is it's still supposed to be in between or before Force Awakens.
They're not going to be able to do anything with the original Thrawn trilogy other than bring characters that have the same name.
Well, that's why I think they're going to be substituting characters. They're not going to be like bringing in,
but the plot, the entire plot is unworkable in the universe that they've established.
Exactly.
Who's Pelion?
Yeah.
I mean, who's like there is no empire, but there is, but it's on the secret Sith planet behind a bunch of red goo.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Like there's
I really like
there's
goo,
no twins because there's Kylo. There's so many elements of that whole thing that just won't work. And then you factor in what they've butchered with their novels, and it makes it even worse.
Right.
So the new Disney era novels that they've come out with, would that fit in? They're going to bring in Thrawn characters.
Right.
But it'll be just the plot there's almost nothing that they can use in the Thrawn trilogy plot. That would
right.
work.
Well, that's where I'm just like, they'll have their substitutes. They'll just kind of like vaguely mimic certain things, but they'll
try and do something like with maybe Mara Jade, I think is probably their one go-to that they want to bring in.
Right.
I think they would perceive that as being
I think it'll be Mara
Jade the way that they need to in regards to like actually.
Well, it'd be just a redhead, and probably not even a redhead considering it's Hollywood now.
Yeah,
it'll be a black girl, that used to be a boy.
Oh, God.
and they's name will be Mara Jade.
She transitioned through the Force.
Yes.
Well, according to Kennedy, the Force is female.
Well, I mean, they can turn females into men in the Star Wars universe very easily. They just bring them over to the mod shop on Tatooine and give them a little jackhammer.
Tattoo parlor looking place.
Well, no,
just give them a little pneumatic cock.
They'll give the real truth as to why Luke went on the island and everything and gave up on it, because he finds out he marries Mara and then on their wedding night he finds out that actually
there's the secret, boys. There's
and that causes him to go into exile.
He's done. He's like, my judgment is so bad, I can't do anything now, so I'm just gonna go into exile.
He's out.
Might be onto something there.
We're giving them all sorts of ideas.
That's why.
I say go for it. As far as I'm concerned,
go crazy, go nuts.
They need to destroy Star Wars as hard and as fast as possible. So, like, the more ridiculous shit that they come up with now, I think the better, because the people that are paying for Star Wars now deserve what they get.
Yeah,
like it's already fucked beyond all recognition. Just go all the way. Make it so absurd and ridiculous, like that it's funny.
Yeah.
To the point of like no return, basically.
We're past that point.
Yeah.
The entire timeline is so destroyed now.
Well,
kill it if you have to.
That's what they did with Book of Boba Fett. They made it so absurd and obnoxious and ridiculous that it was actually funny.
Yeah.
That parts of it, but the problem with that show is that overall it was just boring as hell.
Yeah, but you had that awesome Godzilla scene. That was cool.
Godzilla / King Kong, yeah, because remember he climbed the tower,
I meant
the
to
clock
say
tower.
King Kong. I meant to say
and the Power Rangers.
Oh man! And then
the Rancor that could be afraid of fire and run away, but then take a flamethrower to his face later and be like, roar.
Yeah. And it was so funny when Boba Fett hopped on the back, because I called it a couple episode reviews before that at some point Boba Fett's going to ride the Rancor.
That was projected.
I couldn't believe it. I should have believed it though. Shame on me, right? I should have known that they would do something that stupid. I was almost joking.
I was fully expecting that. I was absolutely fully expecting that he would get on the Rancor and ride it. As soon as the Rancor was delivered, to the Jabba's palace, and then he's talking with what's his name, and the trainer guy. I'm like, oh, I mean, what was the point of that scene if not to set up the payoff there where he's going to ride him at the end?
This is the best part about that.
See, that show was much more discussed and I think popular. Like part of the Andor fans' reactions is they're so frustrated that people aren't watching it.
Right.
Because they want people to watch it because they want people to watch their streams about it or their reviews and, like, oh, Star Wars is good Star Wars.
Right.
Well, the thing about Book of Boba Fett too, it was just so memeable. There was so much shit coming out of that.
Oh, it was just it was absurd.
It was a gold
It was
mine.
absurd. I mean, like, just there's so much in it. Like, okay, so you found her. She got
Ranger moped.
Fennec got her guts blasted out and has been laying there. You just stroll up and you bring her to a mod parlor where they give her a C-3PO torso.
Yeah.
And then right after the operation, it's like, okay, we're going to go out and do a campfire in the desert now. Like after she had her abdomen mechanically replaced.
But then
she
also Superman flies off a building and then teleports back in front of the.
I mean,
just remember her being able to move the boulder.
Her modification alone is just so silly.
Yeah,
the whole mod team was silly. I mean, it wasn't just the scooters; it was laughably funny. Like I was saying last night, so you have this mod squad, these stupid kids that are poor little orphans who are so poor they have to steal water from a person called a watermonger.
Right, but they're I think that was.
But they can afford these bikes and these modifications, but they can't afford a glass of water.
And they've got water to keep them clean.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're still
they're good people because they're just poor little street orphans, and the big bad capitalist watermonger is screwing them over.
Well, that's what Milton got up to once he left the office. They're trying to take my water.
It's just so stupid, that show. And the reason why more people on YouTube were covering it was because it was entertaining to cover it. Because it was just so stupid. It was too easy.
Yeah, it was a train wreck you couldn't look away from, basically.
Right, and it was so bad it was funny.
Yeah.
Andor wasn't the case. Like, you don't see the big channels out there. They weren't doing a episode by episode coverage of these things because it was just so mediocre and didn't really go anywhere.
You could.
It wasn't offensively bad as Book of Boba Fett with silly things, but it also wasn't good. It just went nowhere. It had no purpose.
And Andor could have been shrunk down to 6 episodes. Like, it didn't need to be these 12 episodes.
The whole prison thing. The whole prison thing makes no sense to me at all. Like, we're going to stop the show and we're just going to have this Andor gets busted for what does he get busted for?
Being a dumbass.
Going to the shop, walking to the shop.
He was walking along and then he sees a bunch of guys getting chased and he thinks, oh, Mr. I know how to mix in with the Imperials. He sees a group of guys being chased by the Imperials, so he decides, I'm going to start running now because I'm feeling a little nervous, apparently. And then he gets himself caught. He runs
for a second, but he then slows down and he's just walking. When he actually gets caught by that stormtrooper, that sand trooper, or that beach trooper,
the beach trooper.
He was literally just walking up to the store, and he's like, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, because they saw him from before starting to run, so they kept him in mind. Apparently, they have a good memory.
So he gets busted. He gets sentenced to go to this prison, and this prison makes absolutely no sense to me on so many levels. The prison is ginormous. It's sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's built out in the water for reasons.
Out in the middle of the freaking that ocean.
So it can be powered by hydro.
But you could do that 6 feet off the shore too.
Yeah.
and apparently no
that's not how
landing
hydro
pad
works.
or anything to bring in other
like
Imperials.
Just being in water isn't hydro. Like it's the motion of the water via gravity that spins the turbines in like a dam that generates the electricity. It's the motion of the water turning the turbines. In the ocean, like you're going to use the current. Must be a hell of a current.
Must be. But how do they swim all the way to shore for how far a distance they had to? Then?
Well, I mean, we were not even getting there. Just the design concept of the prison itself. So you have this prison that must have cost a fortune to build, right?
Right.
Who built the prison?
The replicate.
Luthen's credits.
Yeah, the replicate.
Luthen's 80 million credits built the entire prison. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for a security measure, because you want to skimp on guard payroll, you install an electrified floor system in this ginormous prison. Not like radio devices on their wrists or around their necks or something like that you've seen in other science fiction dystopian prison movies and shit like that. No, we're going to have the electrified floor that like literally rubber boots would thwart. So
the big Nike shoes.
So they have to walk around barefoot so they can get shocked on the stupid, like what a dumb way to control. And if you have one prisoner out of line, then the entire facility or everybody in that vicinity gets electrocuted to death. That's kind of a really, but you need these prisoners to build these things. So they're your labor capital to build these little widgets for the Death Star. So you don't want to mass kill your workforce because then you have to replace them and then train them. Although if it's labor that can be done by random prisoners, it's not very sophisticated labor in the first place, right? These aren't robotics technicians that are doing this. These are random prisoners. So you have that whole issue. And the whole purpose of this prison is so that you can have this free labor force to build widgets for the Death Star. Now, Rhino, you brought up the why not robots? Why not just cheap regular labor that you can pay? I mean, this is a universe where people would clock in. Well, I mean, this is later, but they would clock in, drive out to the desert on a ship, and go hack a sand whale for little steaks in Kenobi. No, same time period because it's Kenobi.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Kenobi was 5 years before, 4 years before this. So yeah, you're right.
So people are willing to do that job for a wage. Go drive out to the desert and stand at a conveyor belt in horrible desert conditions and hack at an endless supply of sand whale meat to package up. But you can't afford to pay a guy a normal wage to build this Death Star widget.
Mm-hmm.
Which you could pay them next to nothing. Not to mention the fact that it's the Empire, which utilizes slave labor throughout the galaxy, as established even in, or at least suggested in the other Disney shows and products, right? Enslaving the Wookiees. Like they don't have a moral quandary with enslavement. So like, why are you coming up with this convoluted prison scenario to exploit what would be really, really cheap labor with an enormous initial capital expense of constructing this facility in the middle of the ocean?
It was just for them to show off the whole wrongful imprisonment sort of little social commentary on that.
Well, I know what they wanted to do, but like if you think about how the prison operates, how much it would have cost to build, and like your return on investment versus just setting up a steel warehouse building and having these people make the widgets there.
Yeah.
For a regular wage. And then you have to come up with this convoluted system where you're tricking the prisoners to keep them held for the rest of their lives indefinitely by
a fake timer,
faking their sentence and then shipping them to another facility when their sentence is up.
Well, it's not even another facility. It's the same facility, just a different section of the
facility. That was their screw up,
It doesn't make any sense. Like,
that was their
once
screw
that
up,
happens
apparently.
once, well, it must have been the first time it ever happened. Was in
once you get screwed over on your first sentence, the gig is up. Everybody, that person knows. So as soon as I'm like, hey, I did my 6 months, I should be out of here. And they're like, nope, you're going to do another 6 more. And you're like, why? And they're just like, because we said so.
Because
I
we're
can
evil,
then immediately
gosh darn
go
it.
to the next facility I'm in and say to everybody, hey, it's a screw job. We're never getting out of here. Like, how do you keep that a secret? But the show wants you to believe that it's such a secret that they were willing to fry an entire floor of people
just to keep
in order to keep it.
Yeah, but
it's an impossible secret to keep because as soon as they get screwed on sentence number 1,
it's out. The word
they're exposed. Like,
They're going to fry on different levels. They're going to, instead of actually releasing one person, they're going to kill 100 people every time because.
Which is
and then you're assuming the people that you arrested never, like, their sentence is a secret and their families are never expecting them to get out again. Like, how do you fool them? Like, so, Rhino goes to prison and he lives in my town. He lives next door to me. And Rhino gets busted for jaywalking and has to do 6 months in the brig or in this jail facility. All right, 6 months is up and I'm like, hey, where's Rhino? Why isn't he back yet?
Right.
And then another 6 months passes and Rhino's still not back. I'm like, what happened to Rhino?
Yeah.
But you're doing this with
Questions
thousands
start
of
being
people
asked,
and nobody asks that question. Like, hey, how come the guy isn't out yet?
Well, just go back to like nobody would be stupid enough to ask the question.
Right. That there's that thing again. So then you go all the way to the escape. And there's this facility that has electrified floors and seems rather advanced. Doesn't have like an automatic door locking system.
Yeah.
So like once the alarm is disarmed,
the
doors to the stairwell get locked, and
they don't even have an alarm.
So the prisoners
system.
can't transverse levels.
They didn't even have an alarm system because the head office, the control center, didn't even know that they were under siege until they showed up at the front door.
Oh, and then I had to laugh is that they didn't even realize they had a busted pipe until they got into the room.
Right, which was that shorted out the whole floor system. And be like, well, your floor system is really stupidly designed. Like really, why would you go with that as a way to? Why would you go with that to control your inmates in the first place? Like, imagine how expensive that is. So you need this entire hydro system in order to generate the power to run your electric floor system. Be like, why not just shackle them? Like. Or put like remote detonated devices on them. Be like, hey, you get out of line and we're going to pop your head off.
Something that would have made it possible. Yeah, anything that would have made it possible for them.
Or some implant that shocks you into submission. Anything. Like there's so many other devices in the science fiction world that would make way more sense. Our prisons now have like our technology here and now would be better at keeping a prisoner in line if you allowed that level of brutality to the point where you could just shock an entire floor. But we get to the escape, and so they all jump off, and like what, 2 people make it?
Yeah.
At least that were shown. Yeah.
Yeah, but
and then, like, boy, Andor, you're kind of an asshole, Andor. Like, fuck
he did
you.
Bring all of them with him. Yeah.
They're all dead now, and you're just like, well, oh well.
Each other. Like they're all jumping out at the same time. Like I was always taught, like, don't dive on someone when you go to the public pool, son. They're all
imagine that. Like you're expecting to hit water, and then you hit like somebody's head.
Somebody else.
Like not only do you like crack their neck, but like you just broke a whole shit ton of
guys
bones.
are landing on each other from like 300 feet in the air, and they're all just
I mean, I'm not going to do the physics on air here, but by the time they hit the water, they've accelerated to a pretty fast speed.
Right.
Yeah,
like you don't survive. Like people jump off bridges to kill themselves, and bridges aren't nearly that high usually.
Yeah.
Right. Because when they hit the water, the tensile nature of the water and the fact that they're hitting it at the speed that they're hitting at, they don't just go sploosh.
Well, they're all everyone who
they go splat.
I wonder how many
everyone who commits a crime and ends up in that prison is a well-trained diver.
Yes, that was part of their prison training to do was high dive protocols.
And Kino was basically saying, I'm already dead, so I'm just going to do this escape thing. And he's not even going to risk jumping off.
Risk getting out, yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't you jump? Like, you're dead. If you don't jump, you might live if you do.
Well, he also announced over the intercom that it was actually him. So once all the prisoners have jumped off and he's the only one left, all the guards come out and go, hey, you were the one that actually caused this all to happen. See ya.
Oh, and killed my buddy Bill over there.
Yeah.
You
Like
bastard.
fuck. I know as kids, man. I'm killing your ass.
But all the SEALs out there are like, oh, Kino survived. We're gonna see him again. We're gonna see him again.
I mean, maybe if they held him for interrogation,
that's my only thing.
It wouldn't be the most shocking or egregious thing. But like Andor is a dick. He killed all those prisoners. Like, we're supposed to believe the Empire is terrible because he shocked people. Andor led 1,000 people to their death and shrugged it off.
Effectively, yeah.
He didn't even feel bad.
No, he has like.
He's just like, oh well, I'm free.
Him and
fucking dick.
Then gets captured in weird webbing, and then
oh yeah, the
freaking aliens.
The Spider-Man webbing.
Yeah.
But what was the whole point of that entire sequence? It was just literally something that happened to him. Like, did he even learn anything? It doesn't seem like he did, because he's pretty cavalier about like none of the other prisoners making it to shore.
The 1,000 prisoners.
The only thing that he just gets to eventually learn is once in the following episode, he gets the little book, or no, the finale, he gets the stupid little the manifesto back, and he starts listening to that crap. Then he's inspired. I was like,
he had that before he went to prison. So like, what?
But he never listened to it. Apparently,
what for the character of Andor did we learn in that entire 3 episodes?
Nothing. Other than he's a cold-hearted bastard that doesn't care
just
about anybody other.
To add runtime.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's why,
because the prison doesn't make sense. The labor doesn't make sense. The escape doesn't make sense. It doesn't tie into anything else that's going on.
No.
What was its purpose?
I was half expecting them to have like Luthen like do something, like swoop in and get him out, or use Mothma to get him out, or something. Considering how apparently high priority Andor is to him, especially once he wants to kill him later on. But I was like, okay, is he gonna get broken out? Is there gonna be like a
was he not
jailbreak?
concerned that the person who could expose him was in
prison
under imperial arrest?
And then,
like that's his greatest opportunity to be exposed, is like if the Imperials decide to torture Andor, right?
Yeah.
And then Andor spills the beans. Like the last thing you want is Andor in custody by the Imperials if you're Luthen.
And then on top of it, Andor is apparently in the system for the Imperials too. So when he's getting harangued into the system, nothing gets alerted back to Coruscant at all.
This is the worst design. The Imperials have the worst design security computer system to ever be put to film or screen.
I get it. There's the meme of the stormtroopers can't aim for shit, but my God, have they turned the whole Empire into a blathering bunch of retards?
And, really their explanation is, well, they're just big and fat and lazy.
Yeah,
like,
that was what we learned with the heist thing. They even literally had the guy trying to get into his belt, and he was having problems.
But why did one thing that, and I just didn't understand, but why did it take them this long to figure out who Andor was when he was a freaking Imperial? Like he said himself, he was
for the runtime.
He was lying. He said he was a chef, like he was a cook for the Empire
to make the show the amount of episodes it was. Because this show really doesn't have a point.
No,
somebody was telling me on Twitter how like I was saying how we know that Luthen's not going to shoot him. We know he lives through all of this, so it's kind of anticlimactic. And then they're like, yeah, well, what about the prequels? You know what would happen to Vader? And I'm like, yeah, well, the reason it was interesting was because he's literally the most iconic villain in the history of movies. Andor's some guy, some rebel.
The prequels explained the how. Two very important hows that we had questions about. Yeah. How did Anakin fall to the dark side in the first place, and how did the Republic get replaced
turned into
by
an empire? Yeah,
right.
Well, we were interested because Anakin,
which are interesting
Vader,
stories.
Vader was so iconic, and I don't give a crap about Andor. He's just some guy.
Yep.
Right.
I don't know why they chose him.
Like, why? the only reason they chose him is because he's a character in another movie. They literally could have made up a character brand new, and it would change the show not one iota.
Yeah. They
literally could have made it anybody, but they needed to make it Andor, so they had something to try and lure the audiences in with.
Because
it's the Andor from the movie.
Their one popular movie that made it, that was good.
And he wasn't the reason it was popular. Nobody walked out of that movie theater going, "Wow, I really like Cassie."
Andor, no, I know.
I like K2SO and I like the Vader scene. That's what everybody said when they left the theater.
Vader going sick house on a bunch of rebels. It was like,
without those two things, that movie dies. Yep. And by the way, that movie died once already and had to be basically redone by Gilroy in the first place because it was such a cluster.
Yep.
The only thing that would have made it more interesting and more Disney is if Andor had been eaten by those two aliens, him and his buddy, and then they somehow came back to life.
Right.
Yeah, because nobody ever really dies.
That would have been pure Disney gold right there.
Jeez.
It's just
no, what they're gonna do is and this is genius. So Indiana Jones is going to use the time dial thingy, and he's going to travel for a long time ago.
No.
To the end of Rogue One, and he's going to bring Cassian Andor and the chick back to Earth. So Cassian actually doesn't die on that beach.
Well, that's what they have.
They live, and then he becomes the new Indiana Jones.
Brilliant.
Oh wow!
Tie it all together.
You took it in an extra little.
Just make it dumb as fucking possible, and people will be fucking just jizzing all over themselves, saying what great writing it is.
Yeah, but he gets his hat. He gets Indy's hat from Luthen's shop. You got to add that.
Yes.
There we go.
There you go.
We have it.
That's how you tie it all together.
We have it.
Make it happen, KK. You got a couple months. You can change Indy yet.
It's not out.
Tie it right in.
They can do reshoots, no problem.
Then Lucasfilm could be like, "Fooled you. Cassian season 2 isn't even going to be in Star Wars. It's the Indiana TV show."
Indiana Jones movie.
That's good writing. Just do that.
Just if you're gonna be stupid, then just go all in.
Go
and
full
be ridiculous.
stupid,
Just be ridiculous. Be like Galaxy Quest ridiculous.
Oh, but Galaxy Quest is good.
No, Galaxy Quest is really good. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's great. but
I'm talking to be like, go stupid. Like the hallway with the chomper things where Gwen is like, there's no reason. What is this?
Why is this even here? Because it was
like, go that dumb.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I need your help.
I gotta watch that movie again. That is one of my all-time favorite movies. That movie was just so well done. It was good parody.
It was all the right elements thrown in.
It was good parody, but had a heartfelt story to it as well.
It did.
Like it was. I think it's a perfect movie.
I'll have to put it on sometime too. Oh, that's good. That'll be a good palate cleanse.
I adore that movie. I consider that more of a Star Trek movie than anything made after Undiscovered Country.
That's going back a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the last original cast movie, which is like 91, 92.
Yeah, but that's where I'm getting at with the sort of slow decline of Star Wars. Is we've seen that with Star Trek. They've been sort of the slow roll around the toilet bowl. I mean, it's very possible that the same thing could happen with Star Wars, where Star Trek is almost dead. Like I
don't think so, because like Star Trek had a renaissance. Like it was dead, and then it had a renaissance. Like Star Wars was never really dead like Star Trek was.
No, because
they just stopped making more, but like they didn't it didn't get canceled.
Star
after
Wars was
13
always
because the original trilogy is only 3 seasons, 2 really, and then they brought it back for a third, which was not a good season. There's a couple good episodes, but
I'd still take it over the new stuff. I'd take it over next gen.
Oh yeah, like JJ. Well, I like Next Generation, the TV show. I don't like the Next Generation movies.
I couldn't get into the show. I watched it for like about the 4 seasons or so. I just lost my mind. I'm like,
it got good around season 4 and 5.
Yeah, they introduced the Borg, but at that point I didn't care.
See, I'm not a big Borg fan though. That's not why I think it's good. I just think the writing got really good.
I just like the original series. I think the original series is just a lot of fun.
It is,
like
but I mean, it had its limitations. Huh?
It's like Bros in Space because you just had Spock, McCoy, and Kirk all just kind of.
Well, and that's a difficult dynamic to recreate if you're trying to recreate some chemistry, because it wasn't just that how the characters developed and through each different episodes. It was the interaction and the chemistry between the 3 leads.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Georgie, you weren't a lead. Sulu.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm sorry. I don't know who that is. Anyways, he's kind of hanging around, right? I know.
Who thinks he's somebody but never was.
The random dude that was fencing when everyone was.
Yeah, he's not a random dude. I mean, he's the helmsman, but like he would disappear for multiple episodes because he was doing other projects.
Replaced with
just some random like extra.
Either random or Chekhov, or they just kind of replaced them out.
But like the 3 leads on that show are really what really drove that show. And people of course liked Uhura, and people like Scotty. Yeah. People like Sulu and Chekhov and the other characters. But the heart of the show was Kirk, Spock, McCoy.
Boy, yeah.
Absolutely, without a doubt. The chemistry that those 3 had. And to try and replace that is a very difficult thing, because that's just kind of like a 1 in a million chance that you just happen to cast the people that just happen to work perfect. And Shatner gets a lot of shit for his hammy acting and everything. Watch the entire TOS and watch the movies again. He's got some really brilliant acting moments as well. It's not all the cheesy stuff. He had some great stuff.
I'd watched the original series well after the fact because I never really got into a lot of that stuff.
Well, yeah, I didn't think you were born in like 60.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying, just like, because I mean, they had the reruns, they had the movies and stuff like that. Yeah. And my mom loved it. She watched that shit all the time, or not all the time, but certainly when it came on. I didn't really get into it. I did watch the Jar Jar Abrams, and I was like, this ain't bad. It's okay. It's kind of stupid. It's kind of whatever. But then I was like, you know what? I need to finally do this. I need to watch the original series. I watched it, and I fell in love with it. I'm like,
the Jar Jar movies are nothing like it. The entire genre is completely different.
I completely understand why there was so much animosity towards Jar Jar and those movies and stuff like that. I'm like, I get it. Okay. But that was the thing. You
didn't know better at the time, but you didn't know that the better was out there. Like the heart of Star Trek.
I think in JJ's Trek, the casting was pretty.
The casting was okay. Like I think
it was okay, but the story.
I think the most brilliant casting and was Carl Urban. Like I think he did a spot on McCoy.
Yeah,
impression.
Good in that. Yeah,
I think Chris Pine did a good impersonator of Shatner.
Yeah, he was trying to impersonate him instead of like being his own Kirk. That was
and the problem with Quinto's Spock was it wasn't fucking Spock.
No, it wasn't. And it
was emo, emotional, weirdo Spock.
That's what I was like. What the hell is this? After
and I'll look at Zoe Saldana all day long. I mean, cast her and everything. She's hot, but fine for Uhura, I guess. I thought the guy who played Chekhov was a little bit too over the top, and I know he passed away. To speak ill of the dead in a tragic car accident. But
it's supposed to be honest about the situation.
But I thought they hammed up his accent and they made his character too silly.
I thought he was
Chekhov was not a silly character.
No, he was, but it also is kind of what they've made fun of Shatner for all these years. Because when I went back and watched the original series, I'm like, this is nothing like all the kind of
the memes for Star Trek are not accurate.
There wasn't all the
a lot of
dramatic pause things. Help me here, Nicolas. We need to get this. Yeah, I was like, where? Yeah. I was like, where is all that? Oh, it's not actually there because they were over.
It was started, I think, with like Eddie Murphy and people like that, the comedians, and then it became memes.
Nuclear vessels. Yeah,
nuclear vessels. I'm not a huge fan of Star Trek 4, even The Voyage Home. It's the least Star Trek of the original Star Trek movies.
I'm gonna get some heat for this. I think Wrath of Khan is overrated.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry. I like the original episode much more than I like the movie.
Oh no, the movie is so much better for so many more. We'll have that debate another time because I could go forever on Wrath of Khan. But the original episode, while it was good,
I enjoyed it a lot more.
The episode didn't end with that Khan's chick getting a good beating, which is she's so richly deserved. Like I fucking hated that bitch. Like what a useless twat.
Well, and you could have got away with that back then. You wouldn't now.
Yeah, right. But no, Wrath of Khan deserves its praise.
Ricardo Montalban, I loved it. Talk about some hammy acting. He was selling that shit for all it was worth. But it was entertaining on that aspect.
That's the way leading men actors behaved in that time period for acting.
True.
Like you look at all the movies of the period and the TV shows, that was how the male lead was supposed to be.
But he seemed more reserved in the actual episode. Like he wasn't so.
They made him more contemplative. But the thing is that part of the story in Wrath of Khan is that he was driven to madness over the grief of his wife and what happened to his crew, and that he got screwed over and put on this desolate planet. It was the whole Ahab has to get his whale thing. He was driven by this insatiable need to avenge himself upon Kirk. That was like the main driving force behind his entire character. He was driven to that by the conditions and the past. So like he should be different at that point than when he was in the episode. Like, so I think there's a good logical reason why his character was different.
I could see that.
Don't question my Wrath of Khan authority.
Woo! I knew I was gonna get some heat for this. I'm just, but
hey, as long as you don't say that like the whales one is the best,
No. I honestly there are the other ones I need to watch. I've watched 1, 2, and I think.
Oh, I love 3. I think 3 is criminally underrated.
I'll have to check
it
out.
There you do get a good Shatner moment where he's bashing Christopher Lloyd's Klingon face in with his boot, like, I have had enough.
I'll have to watch that one. Yeah.
As he boots him off the cliff. It was great. It was so great. Christopher Lloyd was so great in that as a Klingon too. It was perfect. He's got like the perfect eyes to play like a Klingon.
Oh yeah, to
big,
have that
white,
mad
eyes, like perfect.
That's why he was perfect as Doc Brown. He was the mad scientist. Right?
Although Christopher Plummer did great as General Chang in Undiscovered Country too, which is my second favorite one.
Don't question him, Freck.
I won't. I'm sorry. Ooh, I've learned my lesson.
Same director, 2 and 6. Nicolas Meyer. Nimoy directed 3 and 4. Shatner directed
5. I've seen 5.
5 is just a shit script and a crap budget. They screwed him so bad on that script and budget. Like,
oh god,
5 was so cheaply made, and it shows. And I'm not gonna like
nothing better than
I'm not trying to kiss Shatner's ass here, but like he had nothing to fucking work with as far as budget goes.
I would love to find out all the nitty gritty about that one, considering how much shit he gets for that film.
I think it's still better than Generations. Like I'll watch 5 before I watch Generations, Nemesis, or Insurrection. Those movies suck.
I've seen Insurrection. I've seen
First Contact is the only passable.
First Contact. That was the Borg one, right?
Yeah,
that one wasn't
Everybody
bad.
loves the Borg.
I'm not big on the Borg myself either.
I don't like how they changed them, and they basically. Well, Oh yeah, over time. Because like here's what you do, and you see this all the time in properties too, and even in individual movies. Baddie shows up, and Baddie is insurmountably like he doesn't have one I win button. He's got like a whole panel of I win buttons. Like he just hits the button and you're screwed. You're dead. You're gonna die. They're just insurmountably powerful.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the movie, it's just like an easy victory for the hero.
Wasn't it like a weird virus thing they wiped them out with that took away all the weird synthetic skin in First Contact?
No, in First Contact, Data betrays the Queen and hits the gas, and
the gas. That was it. Because I was like,
without the Queen, the rest of the Borg. The idea of a Borg Queen, I don't like. Well, they're supposed to be a universal hive mind. They're not supposed to have a leader.
Well, that's what kind of got me with that movie too. Is like how, like you say, they had a bunch of win buttons. It's like they just kept adapting to everything. I'm like, I get that they could, but it just seems like a bit much.
Well, see, when you make an overpowerful bad guy, then you need to make the good guys get some super counter effect to it, or some sort of gimmicky win. And then the next movie comes along, and now like it's power creep, and you definitely see it in superhero stuff.
All the time.
Definitely in comic books, definitely in the superhero movies. Is like heroes gotta because you have your typical story arc. You know, hero hits a challenge, kind of gets knocked down, has a low point, has to do a training sequence or find himself and regain his confidence or whatever. And then you have the final face off, and he overcomes the ultimate obstacle. But as you chain those together, he keeps having to get more and more powerful, the hero, over time, that they just become ridiculous. And then the story doesn't really become interesting because it loses its interest because the lengths they have to go to make new silly powers and then new silly counter powers just kind of superheroes have a shelf life. And part of the problem with comics isn't
they keep them going for too long.
Well, it isn't always just the whole woke thing. It's the fact that you didn't develop new characters. You just milked all the old ones, and now that's all anybody ever thinks about. And now you got once you've how many times are you going to reboot these guys? I mean, in the movies or in the books themselves, just retire them and replace them.
Yeah. New generation, yada yada.
Make a whole new universe, can it, and just move on. So you. Well,
it's like we see is their fear of releasing these characters. That's why we keep seeing, and we've joked about this is Trash Panda Filoni always going into the EU to bring out characters to go, hey, look, see, we have these characters still in a sense. They're just a skin suit, but we have them.
He's just lazy.
Well, that too.
He can't come up with his own design concepts for races and things like that. So he just pieces together. He Frankenstein some together.
But it's still keeping those characters around to still milk them for their popularities, like the superhero thing too.
I think he does it for his own accreditation. Look at me. Look at me. I'm doing you a favor. I'm bringing back the character I destroyed.
Or tries to take 100% credit like he did with the Darth Maul spider legs and shit like that. He's like, oh no, that was solely ours. No,
he can take credit for that. I think
he tried to.
I think Maul surviving is one of the dumbest things Star Wars has ever done.
That was I even as a what if, I was like, come on, really?
I say Star Wars and Rhino instantly unmutes.
I literally just finished. I got Macca's. I got my Macca's out.
There's the Macca's.
There it is. There it is.
That's funny.
I had to eat. I was dying.
Yeah, I saw your private chat. I was like, okay, cool. He's getting some. He's finally nourishing himself.
Yeah, when he says getting food, it means answering the door.
It did. It definitely did. It meant answering the door. Yeah.
We've just been going back.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going all over the place.
We kind of. I was kind of bringing it back to the whole Star Warsy, Filoni and stealing characters and Darth Maul. Darth Maul being brought back to life is a stupid freaking thing. It's just as dumb as bringing Palpatine back.
Worse. Worse than bringing Palpatine back, really. Because the explanation was even dumber. Like, he was really angry. He was cut in half.
Yeah.
He was bisected at the waist. Like, just being pissed off about that doesn't change the fact that you have no legs.
No, it does not. And
and nobody looked for him afterwards?
Not even Sidious.
Only once
looked
he got
for
the
him.
Narshada.
Well, doesn't
Yoda's
that,
there,
doesn't that also mean,
Kenobi's there,
also mean that Kenobi failed his actual trial?
Yeah, that means he failed
because
his
he was
trial.
knighted. He was knighted because his final, like,
he technically still defeated Maul, but like didn't necessarily. Is you have to
he
kill?
Didn't finish the job apparently.
Well, then how did anybody else really win the trials when there were no Sith around to kill?
Even so stupid.
Guys, you're thinking about it too much. Just think about this. How does he poo and pee?
Well, you see, that was kind of the whole thing of like I was gonna go into that. I'm like, but where do I?
He doesn't need his bomb. He doesn't need his. Weenie.
How does he can't eat his macas because he can't digest it.
Well, and that's where I was like, oh, Bob already basically explained it. He was too angry to die, so he sustained himself on the dark side of the Force. There we go.
He should have then become the most powerful Sith the universe has ever known. Yeah. The man lost his penis.
I mean,
like between him and Anakin, like team penisless.
If this
would not that make you angry? Like you can't even jerk off for the entire rest of your existence.
I mean, if this guy, survives getting cut in half, I mean, that's a perfect explanation as to why, Reva and the Grand Inquisitor can get, just stabbed in the gut, but Qui-Gon's just a different
twice,
story,
twice.
Well,
that's one of the reasons why it's the most damaging thing they've ever done in Star Wars.
Qui-Gon, that bitch stays dead.
Yeah, but Reva can definitely get stabbed.
Light side pussy, that's what you get.
Well, like if it's known that a lightsaber wound is survivable, like wouldn't you not just thrust? Once you thrust your lightsaber into somebody's chest, I'd be like wiggling it around to make sure and like slice upwards to like through the top of their head to make hey, this might not actually kill you, so I'm gonna finish the job. I'm gonna wiggle the hilt around a little bit, and make the hole bigger so you don't survive.
I mean, if you can survive, does that mean Veridem's Twilight lover survived? After he killed her in the Deceived novel, it's like it's so,
sure. Why not?
Everyone lives. Everyone lives from a lightsaber wound. It's okay. You're cool. Don't worry about it.
I understand why Reva did, because it would be racist if she died and all that ridiculousness they were talking about. But it's just so bad.
Well, they're saving it. They want to make sure that they offer with the dark saber. The BBC of labors of lightsabers.
I don't know where they go from here, though. I don't know where season season 2 of Andor.
Of Kenobi.
Well, God, I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, there's the
Reva show.
That was already the figuring was that they were probably going to.
I think they can't wait to try and write in that Reva was the one that got Grogu out somehow.
Yeah.
Oh. Fuck.
Oh, I think that's coming. Like if they go back into that and do a Reva show or a Kenobi season,
she hit him somewhere in the temple.
We're gonna have a flashback where she's wounded but crawling through the temple and she comes across Grogu and grabs him.
I reckon you're gonna see Reva walking out with Grogu under a trench coat.
Yeah.
No, Grogu. Okay, Grogu got stashed somewhere, but then he's out walking the temple. He comes up. Force heals her.
Force heals her.
He force heals her. They get out together. You got it. All right. There we are.
That's the
dyad. Oh my God.
Grogu's dyad with Reva.
Oh,
there we go.
But if somebody at Lucasfilm has just heard that, they're going, "Hey, wait a minute. That could work.
Yeah,
you do this,
guys."
Yes, please.
Go for it. Make it as stupid as possible.
Please get me in there. I'd be happy to. We'll see what happens.
My fan theory is that Riva actually died in episode 4. And that Aunt Beru is the old lady at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. Beru was off working a moisture evaporator, and Riva was fucking
visiting
Owen and having an affair.
Wow!
And that it was actually Riva that got crisped by the stormtroopers.
Then it fits perfectly with my own headcanon that do you guys ever see the fan film from back in the day, the Troopers, where it's the stormtroopers, but it's like acting as like from the
cops?
show Cops? Yes.
Yeah.
And it ends with the domestic disturbance.
Yeah.
It ends with the domestic disturbance at the Lars farm, and they get blown up and crisp. There we go. She found out Owen was cheating. That's how the fight got started. His ear gets cut, and things just get wasted. I'm fine with that.
There you go. I mean, hire me, Lucasfilm. I can make it even better than you can.
We will.
Yeah.
I can take it to such ridiculous levels. Like let's take it as far stupid as possible, and then still watch these seals clap.
Well,
because they would. They'd find ways to like in their head cans and be like, "Well, no, that makes sense."
Well, and what's lovely too is for Andor, the last episode. This is Ferrix is an Imperial controlled planet, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I believe, Rhino, you even pointed this out in your review. How the hell did Andor get onto the goddamn planet?
Yeah, no, I know.
He walked through a door.
The same way Kenobi got back to Tatooine.
Yeah.
He called up Bail Organa and screwed up more of his cover? I don't know.
He just...
I'm telling you, it was Nightcrawler. He was there the whole time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we've already established.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because that's how he tells
the Marvel character universe exists in Star Wars.
Nightcrawler is canon.
Oh.
Yes, it's a Sith. It's the Force. It works in mysterious ways. We can just do anything and just call it the Force.
Yeah.
I was just looking at my notes again. I just had to bring that up because it's like, how the hell does he get onto a planet that's Imperial controlled?
Well, what you don't know is he's a force powerful being like Leia, so he just floated through space.
Oh shit!
Really, really fast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's just like all the Disney Star Wars does that. How these people are traveling. Rey travels to 3 or 4 different planets in a day. It's just they've shrunk the galaxy to the size of like a country. Like it's like a flight from Tucson to New York or something. It's insane.
See, I'm always so focused on just how they've shrunk the galaxy on the characters themselves and how they keep running into the same set of people all the freaking time, it seems. But yeah, the travel distance between any of these places is negligible. It's like they just poof, there they are.
Hyperspace skip there.
I mean, I know hyperspace is fast travel and all, but it's not that fast.
No.
Oh, Lordy.
I've talked about hyperspace a lot.
It's still travel. It's not teleportation. Unless you're using Nightcrawler.
Unless you're using Nightcrawler.
That makes sense, though. No, I like that theory. Nightcrawlers, I think, is that makes sense.
Yeah, force teleport. I mean, why not?
Well, and how many days was there between when Andor finds out his mom's having a funeral to when she actually has one? Like, was it a day? Was it 2 days? How quickly
did they ever establish that? Did they
pay someone off? Like, how quickly does that happen? And he's just there.
No, they didn't.
How did he get the news so quickly? Like, how did it get to him?
He called the planet, basically. He made a phone call.
Oh.
He was at a payphone. Yeah, he used the payphone.
Payphone bank.
You're just saying what's up.
Collect call from Mrs. Andor?
Called up a random buddy who keeps repeatedly saying his name out loud. Cassian.
He's like, yeah, Cass, don't say my name. Okay, sorry, Cass, don't say my name. I just told you, don't say my name. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to. But hey, Cass.
And then
he doesn't even correct him again.
the friend Andor's friend bumps into the same guy, and the guy says Cassian's name out loud again in the middle of the street where plenty of people are in earshot to hear him.
So bad.
Oh my god. It's like, dude, did you not take a hint at all?
Worst writing I've ever seen.
Oh no, it's the greatest. Because it feels dramatic, Rhino. Ever. It feels dramatic. It looks like it looks like they're talking in Games of Thrones speak, but they're just really not saying anything. But that's what we want. Just surface level.
Just tripping over themselves.
It has to be, it has to be a facade of drama, not actual drama.
Fucking insane.
Because in order for something to be dramatic, it has to be rooted in some sort of base or truth. And this is just all made up as they go bullshit.
I'm so excited for season 2
no logic behind it.
of this just dumpster fire.
Well, one of the
you think they're even going to make it? Did they start making it yet?
I believe
I can absolutely believe that they pull the rug out from under it and not do another season.
Apparently they started shooting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
was it confirmed? Did they start?
This month or November, they're supposed to start.
So you're going to spend another $100 million making this show that nobody freaking wants.
Yeah, but you'll spend $100 million, and then when resting bitch face takes a brick to the head, you won't have a wound or cut or bruise on her face
nothing.
when she's talking to Crunchberry.
Totally unscathed.
That's what $100 million gets you.
I don't know if we brought this up last year, but some of the the blaster fire in I'm pretty sure they had blasters in the prison scene, but not a single scorched mark, nothing.
They had one or two, but then after that, they stopped showing any kind of real damage. Yeah,
it's just
I mean, they have some detail with their sets and stuff like that, but then with everything else, they're kind of let's hold back just a little bit. We don't need to show everything, guys. Come on.
Well, that's one of the most impressive things about Mando is Mando's the one character that constantly gets shot by stormtroopers.
Gets shot by everyone.
Only in the armor. It's like it got magnet. It's like the bombs in the Last Jedi. They're magnetized. It's kind of like Mando's armor magnetizes the blaster shots towards his armor, so it never actually, because it only covers about 30% of his body.
Yeah, they don't think to aim for any other weak points or exposed areas that he has. No, just the freaking shiny armor. Let's go for it. No,
guys. Well, I mean, remember the Doomsday Rock'em Sock'em robots just punched him in the helmet over and over again. instead of snapping his neck or grabbing his elbow and breaking his arm or any other exposed area on his body, I'm going to keep repeatedly punching the helmet, because these Rock'em Sock'em robots that were supposed to be the doom of the galaxy can only do forward straight punch.
Well, and
that's what they did to the door. That's what they did to Mando. Forward straight punch.
And apparently Mando's helmet has so much cushioning inside that goddamn thing. Yeah. He's fine. No concussion, no nothing, no knockout. He's like, okay, just keep doing this. I'll ride this out.
You're weird though, because he got concussed from the explosion.
Right?
Yeah.
At the end of season 1.
Yeah. Do you remember in Book of Boba Fett when the giant droidicas stomp on his leg? And it just deflects off the plate of armor, and that's not how that would work.
Yeah, that's not how pressure works. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have cracked right through his freaking leg.
Yeah, the Mando suit is basically just a more angular version of Black Panther suit, apparently. Just absorbs everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It absorbs all energy and kinetic energy. It's a miracle suit. But despite Beskar being literally everywhere in the galaxy that anybody can get their hands on, nobody's made another suit.
Apparently, the Beskar spear and shit like that. It's what the hell is this?
Oh, the Imperials had it. Everybody's got it.
It's the rarest common metal in Star Wars.
What I really like though is that if you're Andor, you can actually get shot by a blaster and not fall down and just keep running and keep fighting without any Beskar. You guys remember in the first episode?
Yeah, yep.
He gets full-blown shot, doesn't even fall down, nothing happens, just keeps running. All
He's good.
Baby.
Well, what they're going to need to do in season 2 is invent. They're going to have to invent a new technology for blasters, called the stun setting.
Yeah,
that that circular, widespread area of attack kind of weapon that they use on Princess Leia.
That's why they brought it
in the first couple minutes of the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
nope, that technology has just disappeared entirely.
Altogether. Yeah.
Except for when Leia uses it on Poe Dameron. That's it. Like, it took all those years to finally get like another stun shot. But, like, you would think the prison guards would have a wide area stun setting for their weapons, so as to at least not damage the equipment that they're working on. But electric floors will do.
I'll even say I forgot about the damn stun. Oh my god,
it's like literally how they shoot Leia with it in like the first 15 minutes of A New Hope.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
And it's a wide area of attack. It shows like this cone.
It spreads outward. Oh. I'm just ashamed of myself that I forgot it. That's just my.
Well, everybody else in Star Wars has to.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess I'm not alone at least. Jesus.
Well, and you could use it on anybody. So instead of, shooting people and kicking the shit out of people in Andor, you just stun them and then bring them into the interrogation room. You don't have to go through this whole
in Star Wars shows, you need to have these like kung fu grapple fights in every single thing now. Because that's so badass.
It did make a funny sound.
Like the whole finale of season 2 of Mando, where you had the girl power fight scene.
Well, and for season 2 of Andor, I believe like they're gonna be basically skipping time too. This is gonna be like
it'll be a time
if we
jump.
already thought things were they had no track.
Stupid.
Well, they had no track of time at all for this. I mean, I can only imagine how weird it's going to come across as like 3
episodes. They'd be like, "Oh, Luthen's dead. Don't worry about him."
Yeah, it's like focused like 3 episodes.
Now it's Fulcrum.
On 1
now
year,
it's
and then another 2 years, and it's like, okay, now we're at Rogue One.
I wonder how they're going to freaking try and mesh as Andor progresses. The only interesting thing to me is going to be like, how badly are they going to beat Filoni at his own fucking game? Retconning, be like, hey, Filoni, it's your turn to get fucked up the retcon ass.
We kind of made that joke too, that somebody else was going through the EU trash that Filoni's always digging into, because I think we made that comment because when they brought in the Briar pistol that Andor uses. It's like, okay, so now they're bringing that in. Okay, gotcha.
Filoni won't really care in the end because he doesn't even care about his own established continuity. So
only
that's right.
Does he care about?
Like the whole Darksaber.
Yeah,
that now apparently is a sentient being with its own will.
It has a mind of its own.
Yes. Well, just like the jetpacks that once you train with it, you'll be able to use it, but you need to train with it or it will not listen to your commands. 5 minutes later. He's flying around with it. A freaking armor chick. Like, God, is she such a stupid character. Like, the one thing that could redeem Mandalorian for me would be like if Mando just fucking tells her off.
The armor.
Yeah, that armor chick be like, you don't know shit, lady.
Yeah. Lady,
but why? By the way, how does Mando, who was raised in this goddamn cult, not know any of the details of the goddamn cult? He was literally adopted as a child.
Yeah,
they showed this.
Into
the cult, and yet he apparently knows nothing about the cult.
What? Why does the armor have the authority over everything? And meanwhile, the other actual Mandalorians don't. They take their helmet off all the time.
Well, because they're just a weirdo sect of Mandalorians.
Yeah, they're the weirdo.
But again, who gives the armor, this rando, the authority? Like you said, Beskar's everywhere. Surely he could find somebody else to make his armor. What gives her the authority to be you can't take your helmet? If you take your helmet off, you're not a Mando. But now you got the black saber, so you're the king of Mando. but not
because
a Mando.
Because you took off your helmet, now you're excised from the Mando cult, so you have to go and then potentially go to Mandalore and get baptized, and maybe then we'll let you back in, but that's only if.
But if he's not a Mandalorian, then why didn't What's-Her-Face just take the saber? Why did they have to even fight for it?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
None of that whole sequence made any sense at all. It was so stupid. Because the way it should have gone is Mando. But see, the problem is Dim Jughead isn't a character. He is a device. He has no agency. He literally just goes places and does what people tell him to do.
Right.
Like, watch the 2 seasons. That's literally all he does. I think the only decision he makes is to go back after Grogu.
Yeah.
Everything else, he's just literally doing. He does what he's told. Somebody claims to be an authority, and he just goes, "Yes, ma'am."
Yeah.
And that's it. But how does he not know the rules of his own cult? Like, why is this armorer lady like the de facto wise leader? Like,
yeah, they didn't exactly establish why she was kind of queen bee of the whole thing, and why.
Because she knows how to. She
knows how to make the armor.
metallurgy.
Okay.
Well, the
and
armor
by the
existed
way-
on the entire planet. Was she the only one that knew it? When it she's the only surviving member that knows how to craft it.
Beskar is the one metal that you do not use to make weapons out of, except for whistling.
Except for the
birds
Darksaber.
and the Darksaber and the spear.
Yeah. Well, no, the spear had to be melted down. So the spear was a violation.
Yeah, the spear was a violation, and that's where that came from. But they can make whistling birds out of it.
Yeah.
And he apparently has a ton of replenishments of the damn things.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be kind of like
use them sparingly because you only get
I'll use them any chance I get.
I'll reload every time.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and they're completely magical.
Yeah, they've got automated targeting system where they actually won't.
Be whoa, boy, that would hope that technology doesn't get in the hands of the stormtroopers because they might actually be able to do something. They just got to stand somewhere in the field of fire and pull the trigger, and then the magic birds will just hit the targets.
That's all they need. Why would you need anything else? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
As bad as Andor is, I think I still think like from a plot, character, universe standpoint, like the other stuff is far worse.
Oh no,
but that doesn't make Andor good.
No,
yeah, 100%. It's a lot more offensive. Like Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, I reckon those are a lot more offensive than.
See, I'd watch Boba Fett again because it's just so fucking funny.
I don't know about that.
Like a panther.
Oh yeah, you gotta ride it like a panther.
It's just so like, who read that script? Like, is Tamara Morrison like just desperate or retarded?
Well, he actually criticized it after the fact. He said he was not super happy.
Yeah, but did he sign on without any script at all?
I don't know.
I think he was paying for his dentures.
It must have been just like, well, it's work and I'm an actor and it'll pay well. Which, like, I don't begrudge. I mean, it's not like he's a famous actor otherwise, so it's a good opportunity for him.
Well, I think he does like Star Wars. That's the thing, because he even came back and voiced for some of the video games for any of the clone troopers.
It's work.
And stuff like that.
It's work. There's a lot of people in the Star Wars universe that come back to it, but I think I'm absolutely.
No, you're right.
Like, do you think Harrison Ford has respect for the Star Wars universe?
Well, we already know his story. No, yeah,
he hates Star Wars.
He wanted to get out.
I don't care.
He basically wanted out at Empire.
I don't care. Fuck Han
Well, yeah, and it's reached the point with Ridley. Like, the only character she can even be now is Rey. If there's such a script for her, like she's totally
because she really wasn't
screwed.
She really wasn't that talented in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit, like, because I have an absolute thing for British accents. Like, so before Force Awakens came out, and there was that video release where they showed her and she was getting the news that she got the part. Or no, when the trailer first came out and she saw the trailer, she was like, it was a video. I don't know if it's Instagram or Twitter or whatever, but it was her and she was watching the trailer, and like, you can understand for like a young actress seeing yourself in a big trailer that everybody's watching, like how exciting that must be. And like I was genuinely like excited for her. I'm like, wow, that's a really neat moment. And even John Boyega, when they showed his video, when he got the part, he's jumping over the couch and making an idiot of himself. I was genuinely happy for those two people. Like, what an amazing, cool opportunity. Like, imagine if you got the part to be the lead in a Star Wars movie. Right. Like, how fucking insanely, like, nuts you would be. That would be, over getting the role of a life, like, a movie that millions of people are going to see no matter what. Yeah. Like, what an opportunity. How cool would that be?
Yeah, the return of Star Wars to the movie theaters.
And I was genuinely excited for those two. But, like, when you look at the product of her work, you know, she's not... I don't think she's a terrible actress, but I don't think she doesn't stand out in any meaningful way.
I won't say I've seen her in anything else other than these three movies.
She's cute.
She's the same in the other movies she's in.
But she's not hot, you know?
But
she's kind of a girl next door.
Over 6 years, over 3 movies, part of your job as a director is to have an actor stretch and get better. And, you know, and maybe part of it was because they kept switching directors. I don't know. But you know, you're right. You don't see that much progress with her. Maybe it's because they said, oh, no, scene's good. That's good enough. And they should have, you know, pushed her or whatever. So part of it could be that she's just not capable. And part of it could also
be the source material.
They just weren't pushing her. And exactly the material she was using. And there's a lot of different, you just don't know for sure. But
it's like Hayden Christensen gets a lot of shit for, you know, episode 2 in particular. It's like, I don't think like the best actor in the world can make some of those lines work.
Hell no.
Because some of those lines they're just bad. They're cheesy. There's no way to deliver them.
Well, and George didn't know how to, especially with emotional and person to person relational.
Yeah, that's not his strong
dialogue.
suit. That's not his wheelhouse.
No, and even when Anakin and Obi-Wan are talking, you know, going up the elevator or whatever on Coruscant, like it's so shallow. Like he doesn't know how to do that. Now in the OT, you had experienced actors that would get in his ear and they'd ad lib and they'd do things. But with somebody like Hayden who was younger. This is his first big deal. He's not going to say, oh, no, George, we need to redo it. He's just going to say, okay, well, you accept this. So, you know, let's move on. So I don't totally blame him for that either. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like same thing with Ridley. Like how much more was there for her to give and how much was it just she's a shitty actress? It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think part of it particularly with the first movie, you know, episode 4 was like, I don't think like Mark Hamill was a nobody. Harrison Ford had a couple bit roles up until that point. He was essentially a nobody. The only established real actor was Alec Guinness, right? And the guy who played Tarkin,
Peter Cushing.
Yeah, like they had some like serious work behind them, but I don't think anybody took that movie seriously when they were filming it. So like there was an immense amount of pressure on George. But I don't think the actors, and you see it from like behind the scenes clips and things like that, like the one you play at the end of your show, Rhino.
Yeah,
where you know bounce too close to a supermarket and things like that. That clip, like I don't get the impression that none of them thought it was. They thought it was just going to be a silly, forgettable like flop of a movie, and so they didn't really feel a whole ton of pressure. But when you're coming to Star Wars in 1998, 99, when they started. Must have been probably 97 when they started filming it or casting. Like you're coming in and be like, okay, you're gonna play Darth Vader.
No pressure at all there.
No pressure, right? You're gonna be the lead in the biggest franchise in the world at that time.
Yeah.
No pressure. Like it was just a different environment. Because you look at the like, especially the behind the scenes shots and everything, and I'm sure they had their fun moments too in the prequels. But I just like Harrison Ford never took Star Wars seriously. You couldn't possibly convince me that he did.
Well, but that worked for his character though, right?
It did, but I think
perfectly for his character.
It's magic in a bottle. It's one of those things where it had to happen at the moment it happened with the people that were in it. It wasn't a given that it was going to be a success. It just had to. Like all the right pieces had to come together at the right time. That's movie magic. Like when you get a movie that does that, I mean, that's something. And that resonates with the audience. That's why we're Star Wars fans today, right? It's because that resonated with us. It was like, what a moment of time. It had to be released the year it was released. It had to star the people that it had to star. And even the troubles with shooting it and the technological hurdles that they had to overcome, they were all necessary parts to make it all kind of come together. And the fact that it did is really a miracle.
It is.
But now movies are so commercial, so
it's a factory assembly
made,
line. Yeah.
So assembly line made that it's hard to even fake that kind of magic. And I think that's one of the reasons that the prequel suffered a little bit, and it's definitely one of the reasons why the continuation of movies and the stuff that we're seeing, the stuff that we're seeing out of Marvel, it was bound to happen because that's just the progression of it. Like you lose the magic. It doesn't. You can't keep.
Well, that's
going back to that same well.
Yeah, and that's kind of like you said earlier with the comic books. So sometimes you got to, start fresh, start something new, reboot, whatever. Just start.
Me personally, if I were in charge of Marvel, I would say there's the cinematic universe is hereby disbanded. We're going to do individual movies for a while.
Yeah,
and we're going to do Iron Man as a standalone. We're going to do a new. Well, probably put Thor to bed for a while because man, did that shit to bed. But we're going to do Spider-Man alone for a while. We're going to do these characters alone for a while, and then maybe down the line we might do like a one-off fun crossover movie. But ground these people back into their own little worlds because they all have different strengths and weaknesses, and when you put them all together, it's hard to come up with an enemy that could be a logical threat to them. Right. And so I would just stop the cinematic universe stuff, go back to let Spider-Man be a neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I
Thor fight let Thor fight on Asgard and not Earth. Do that kind of
even
stuff.
Just for some of those things, just kind of going into the territory they're maybe not safe with, because doing the big fights and stuff seems to be their safe payoff with the crossovers, but it's like no, to go into try it different. But well, I'm gonna we've been certainly going for a good almost 3 hours now, I think.
Holy shit.
Time flies. I know, it's been great. It's been a blast. If you want to go around the horn here, and Bob, you got anything to plug, or no, or yes, or where can people find you, all that good stuff?
Oh, me?
Yes, you. Sorry. Bob. Sorry.
I'm like, I don't, it's not, my name's Greg, but my character's name is Tuscan
I just know
when somebody says Bob, I'm like, huh? Oh, me.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, my fault. I should have picked up on that a little earlier. You caught me wandering a little bit. I don't have any planned things coming up. So I got really nothing to plug. If anybody's watching this live or the replay and you haven't subscribed to me over on the Rumbles, please do so. You can find me there as Tuscan Bob. I took down all my videos off of YouTube and I've re-uploaded some of them over to Rumble because that is my preferred platform. I don't like. Sorry, you guys. We're on YouTube. Like I don't blame people for being on YouTube. It's obviously the place where you can get the most reach.
I just need to hit those 100 subscribers, and I will have streaming for Rumble. But I had to.
That's the frustrating thing. Is like I don't know how long you guys have been in this community, but I've been in it for quite a while. For a long time, I was just a person that was just watching. I wasn't in the chats or talking or anything. But I've been observing, pretty much from The Last Jedi on. And one thing that happened early was there was this great thing where people would just kind of like, hey, let's get more people, up to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get more people doing this stuff. This is fun.
Right.
And here comes Rumble, and Rumble is so much easier because you don't need the watch hours.
No,
you don't need 1,000 subscribers. You just need 100.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's so many channels right now that are just like waiting in the wind. Even channels that have thousands of YouTube subscribers, they can't get to 100 on Rumble, and that's just very.
People are too comfortable. That's the problem. Is people are so comfortable with the YouTube, they don't want.
But how hard is it to sign up for Rumble? It takes like 5 minutes, man.
Yeah, it's just as easy as any other place. So
And I would say to the people out there and listening and maybe watching the replay, be like, you guys claim to be like on this side and fighting the fight and the culture war and all tech and all this other stuff. And we need alternatives to our entertainment. And then you guys can't make the effort, man, to like go over and sub to a goddamn Rumble channel.
Breach it.
do you think you're going to win the culture war if we're that lazy as a group?
As
you may we can't get 100. We can't get 100 of us to go and sub over there. You don't even have to turn notifications on. Just sub.
Do it. Yeah.
So you can get on to Rumble.
Yeah, that frustrates the shit out of me, man. I
hear
how
you,
far this community has actually fallen.
I think that's the hardest thing when you first
and how many of them that started off and continued, started off.
Yeah.
And it's clear now that they have been and always will be pretenders.
I think the coolest thing though is Fracture and I've been doing this obviously for 45 shows. This was just years ago. This was just us wanting to think it would be cool to do a podcast, and here we are.
Hey, we're gonna hang out. Let's do it on. That's how Raging Geek Jedi started.
Yeah,
like me, Jeff, and Rhino here. We would just shoot the shit on Ryan's Discord, Ryan's Discord. We're like, let's just do a show.
Yeah.
To see this, I mean, I just want to give you guys. Oh, well, I know we're going around the horn, but I just want to give everybody a shout out. I think this is the coolest part. Like, we've been doing it for 45 shows, and to have you guys come on, like, I would never have thought like the first show that we did where we were gonna have like guest speakers come on, but also guys that we've been following and like go. You guys are like the go-to guy. Like for me, I don't know. Like Fracture can obviously say his part, but like, I'd go to your channel, I'd go to Raging's channel, I'd go to Script Troopers channel. And so it's just really cool to have you guys on, and it definitely means a lot. And it's humbling because like we're just two guys.
Thanks a lot, man. Honored.
Yeah.
I share that for 110% because it's like, I've been catching your guys' reviews and everything. I try and watch the show first, get my side, get my notes down and stuff. And I'm like, okay, now I'll head to Rhino. I'll head to Script, see what you guys are saying. I'm see if it kind of we jive in a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I'll try and comment and stuff too, and kind of go, hey, what about this? It's certainly cool to.
This is the thing, though. We're all just fans. We're like, you guys mentioned, we're just two guys that are, just shooting the shit, talking about the things that we like, the things that we don't like about what they're doing with the things that we do like. And we're all in the same boat. Like me and Greg are the same thing. Like we catch up, we talk about the things that we've liked and all of these different elements of what's going on.
God,
and we're
we would
all
talk for like an hour after watching an episode of like Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Because like I would listen to you do your wrap up for your video, and then you'd stop and you'd be like, "So what'd you think, Greg?" And then I would go into my thing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, think about that," and I'm like, "Ah yeah," or sometimes I'd be like, "Oh no, I think you're wrong on that take. Here's my opinion."
Yeah,
and we'd hash it. I mean, that was fun.
Yeah, but like, look, it's been great being on.
I appreciate it, man.
Plugging your channel, hoping that a few people will come over because I know what it's like to try and get to that 100 subscribers on YouTube. That always seems to be the hardest. So yeah, if anybody is rewatching this on the replay, or any of you guys that are live now that aren't subscribed to this channel,
please do.
Yeah, absolutely subscribe. Yeah.
And good.
You got anything going on, Raging? Do you got anything you want to plug?
I've only got my normal casual rage stream on, Thursdays for you guys in the States, Fridays for me. I am working on a video, but it's just going to take me a while because it's another one of my video essays or scripted videos, and I've started working on it. And it looks like it's probably going to be a lot longer than I thought it was going to be because I've got a lot to say. So it's taking me a while to get through it. But it's a top 10 countdown. It's the top 10 legacy Star Wars characters destroyed by Disney Lucasfilm. So I'm going through from 10 to 1. The top 10 legacy characters that have been destroyed, and just basically giving a little description on the characters and why they were so good and what they were, and then why they've been destroyed. So to go through each one of those, I've only just finished number 9, so it's going to take me a while to get that video done. But
you should piss everybody off and put like Luke at 10.
Yeah.
Because what'll happen is people will then listen further because they're like, if Luke's fucking 10, then I want to hear who's number 1.
Yeah.
So you should absolutely put Luke as like 10.
Yeah, that's funny.
I guarantee, like, it'll make people want to watch longer. What?
True.
Luke is probably at like most people's number 1.
Yeah.
So you'd shock the shit out of you, or put him at like number 9, and people would be just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Watch.
Or maybe I'll do it and like, and at number 7, Luke Skywalker, and then just have a pause there and go, gotcha.
No, you gotta let it linger, and just at the end be like, "Oh, you know what? I screwed up the order. Flip 1 and 7 around."
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. Just because, like, I guarantee people will continue listening and be like, if they think Padme is worse than Luke, I want to know why.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee that is exactly how people will.
It's true. But some people will just skip ahead and go straight to number 1.
See who the one is.
Don't put bookmarks in it. Don't put bookmarks. Make it manually skip. Don't put chapters.
But yeah, that's really all.
That's why I'm his editor, people.
I'm trying to get my Rumble, of course, to 100 as well. Currently at 50. This is the thing. Like, I got 3,500 subscribers on YouTube. I've only got 52 on Rumble, and I've been killing the shit out of that. Yeah.
Well, and I put all your guys' links in the description too. So hopefully people will, if anybody that's caught this back, they'll scroll on down and see it.
And
I'll be sure to.
I just want to say really quick. Oh, sorry.
No, good.
I was just gonna say, like, don't. If you're out there listening and you got your own little podcast going where, it's a couple people shooting the shit about the stuff they love, like, and you feel like, oh my gosh, like, it'd be cool to have like Rhino's input or like, oh, what if Tuscan Bob showed up or whatever? Like, I said yes the first time you guys asked.
Yeah.
Probably
would
have said
grateful.
Yes
Thank you.
If you asked 30 episodes ago, I probably would have said yes then too.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, really, like, sometimes I'll say no, I can't do it, or I'm not really interested in that subject, and that's fine too.
That's to be expected.
You won't offend us if you ask, and we just simply can't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
But like, don't wait till like don't like, oh my, like, who am I on YouTube? I'm like ranked 80 billion. Like, I'm nobody. Like,
yeah.
Like, you're not gonna offend me or like offend my sensibilities by asking me to join a live stream.
Right.
Hey,
the
it
worst
just
answer
never
you're gonna get
hurts
is, I can't right now.
It never hurts just to reach out.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're one of those people that are doing this thing, like, go ahead and ask. Like, the worst you're gonna get is no, I can't. Which is the answer that you're gonna get if you don't ask. So,
Right.
All right. And how about you, Script? What do you got going on?
Well, I just wanted to say, anyone who's watching now or will watch the replay, to sub to all your guys' channels. You guys have great content, even just your regular social media, your tweets, all that type of stuff. Really thankful to have joined you guys today. And
glad we could get you on this time.
Yeah. It's tough. I got 3 kids, so I'm a pretty busy guy. But
we understood. We understood.
So it was nice to be able to, and thank you for reminding me again today earlier too.
For sure.
As far as just, I'm still plugging away on, I have my I rewrote the sequels, and then I've just tried to put a visual, sort of the best visual storyboard looking thing you could do and get away with on YouTube with the copyright situation. So, I'm well through episode 9. There's still a lot I got to do, but I've got a lot of that done. So I'm working on that. That'll be out in January. Don't know what day. And then obviously I'm always reviewing different stuff, and I try to come at it with a very objective, pragmatic approach, and also with some humor. And so if anyone's interested in that, That's my YouTube channel. I am on Rumble as well. I'm in the same boat as you guys. I think I'm in and around 50 or so. It's for some reason doesn't resonate as much as YouTube does, but yeah, I think it'll get there. It's just a matter of time. But
I think there's about to be a big switch from from YouTube to Rumble. I hear a lot of people making the switch over to Rumble.
It's still growing. It's still growing, and like the our kind of content and kind of talking on the nerd sphere and everything. It's still something that's not. It still needs time to catch hold. Because still, like a lot of people look at it and go, "Oh, it's all the political talk and stuff like that that's getting on there." But like anybody will tell you, you just gotta keep plugging your stuff, get it on there. If you don't put it on there, then it's not gonna help anything.
Yeah.
So just keep plugging away, keep posting your stuff. That's the one, and that's one of the great things that I like about Rumble is that once I got my channel, because I was told to not use it as a user account, but to create a channel, a proper channel. So now I have that separate. But I like it that I could just link my YouTube channel, easy peasy.
Yeah.
And everything just gets directly shared. That's my one gripe with Odyssey is that I can't do that with them.
Yeah.
Or else I would.
Yeah. And I'll also throw in there if anybody wants to read threads of hilarity and people arguing, feel free to follow me on Twitter because for some reason people really get
You've been getting them fired up, man. You've been getting
absolutely.
The Sarlacc brains have been out in force recently. They've been on your threads like crazy.
It's pretty funny, and it's funny too. Just sometimes I'll just tweet and just sit back, like we were talking about earlier, because I just can't even believe some of the vitriol. So anyway, that's about it, guys. So that was really fun, though. Thank you once again for having me on.
Appreciate it.
We are humbled that you guys came on. And it was a great time. So maybe we'll do it again.
For sure.
Hey, the invite's always there. If you guys ever want it, I can always throw it out. I'll be more than happy to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hitman, you got anything?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Hopefully Sunday Night Sith or Sunday Night Shenanigans.
We'll come back.
Hopefully. If not, my brother and I, we do what we call Brothers of Destruction co-op, where he and I will play a co-op game together. Right now, we've been getting through Diablo 2. We got through the regular end of Diablo 2. We're now in Lord of Destruction territory. I've been replaying through Final Fantasy VII, the original, with some HD texture mods and stuff. Let's see what else is out. I've been streaming a lot of stuff over on Twitch. I'm on Twitch with the Fractured Filter, Rumble, the Fractured Filter across the freaking board. So if anybody's out there listening and stuff, just hit me up on those places. By all means, especially on Rumble, I'd love to start streaming over there. So just catch us around on all the social medias. All the links are in the description. So with that, I will play us out with our usual video. Everybody have a good night.
Later,
guys.
What is thy bidding, my master?
Yeah, I should have known from the very beginning. From what you said. Yeah, when the mega powers were formed. Yeah, what you were out for from the very beginning. Yeah, you were after what was mine. I remember what you said.
You can destroy the Emperor. Join me. Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Yeah, that one was rough. Those words right there. Yeah, I got stuck, but I swallowed it anyway. Didn't like the taste, but I swallowed it anyway, But I remember the time when there was a conquistador out of the ring. The one that's so jealous that he can't stand it, Yeah, you came in there with your poses, but you made a big idiot out of yourself, And speaking of idiot things, what about that stupid idea? Did you forget that one? Think back. That right there sealed your fate, that put the madness over the edge. But I'll tell you what felt even better, was in the dressing room, in the first aid room. Me being unselfish, said go ahead, do the thing, You won't steal my thunder, no! When you take a look at the madness's eyes, all you're gonna see is complete and utter